Did she say what kind of animal it was that attacked her?
So yeah, they're saying it's some type of animal attack. Statistically, there's been more animal attacks, mysterious deaths, people gone missing.
In other news, local authorities remain perplexed by the animal attacks.
What attacked you in the woods?
An animal. What else could it have been?
Welcome to It Was an Animal Attack, home of the supernatural drama series. I'm Sandile.
And I'm Fadzai.
And we're back to finish the balance of what few storylines contain and deal with our dear jock with a golden heart, Matt Donovan.
Matthew Honeycutt Maxwell Donovan.
Maxwell Donovan. Every time I think of Jace Wayland Herondale, Lightwood Morgenstern, the original 5 surname bitch for the Mortal Instruments heads. But yes, before we jump into Matt in the back half of the show, there's a Reddit post that popped up when I quickly googled Matt Donovan to try and get to a link, and it says, "Thoughts on Matt Donovan." This is from a year ago. I won't say who it is because I'm not like that. But it says, "Okay, so I see a lot of hate about Matt Donovan, but I never see any reasons why, so let's discuss. The reason I'm not very fond of him is because, for one, he's a pity party and a crybaby.
What?
He uses the fact that his mother left and his sister died to gain sympathy from everyone, yet everyone has lost someone.
What?
Elena and Jeremy have lost both of their parents and Jenna. Elena lost both her parents, Jenna, and her birth parents, and
go.
Jeremy a few times. I also have an absentee parent that makes random appearances in my life just to leave again, but I would never use it as an excuse to make someone feel sorry for me."
Oh, wow.
So, and I'll put a marker there as a little stop, a telegram stop, because we're going to get back to that. He's also very boring. Yeah, I get that he's human and all that, but even when he knows about everything, he's still just a boring stick in the mud. He also treated Caroline like crap when he found out she was a vampire, and after giving her so much crap about being jealous and insecure, he did the all caps same thing, end all caps, when she starts to become friends with Tyler. I also hate how Matt is the reason Elena turns her humanity back on. Like, yeah, I get that they were close or whatever, but there are so many other things that could have made her flip it back.
What?
Not to mention what the actor did, but I believe separate the artist from his art. I don't know what Zach did.
I've
so
not
I can't
heard
comment
anything
on that.
about Zach.
He's just overall a crybaby and hypocrite. So, I just wanted to get all possible views on the situation because we are, at the end of the day, scholars and researchers, and we will be responsible with our research. But I do want to slice out one sentence in this paragraph that's right in the middle and then sandwiched with a bunch of stuff. And that's, he's also very boring. Yeah, I get that he's human and all that, but even when he knows about everything, he's still just a boring stick in the mud. And I truly think that was the main thing.
Yeah.
And then this person felt like they needed to put some other stuff in there so that it didn't seem like a very personal opinion. But that's just my read of this.
Yeah, when you make a long list and you slip something in there, but that was the main thing.
Right. It's perfectly in the middle of the paragraph, and I'm like, that's your actual opinion, and now everything else you're scrambling. Because, okay, what about this paragraph now?
I'm like,
I've seen a number of bitches in the show who've done that and worse. So why is he so excessively worse than everyone else?
Also, I'm just like, you know what? You're a better person than me. You're always like, I want to be fair. I don't want to assume that I'm smarter than everyone. I don't want to assume that you people are unreasonable. Well, I'm like, I'm not that good. You can be the good cop. I'll be the bad cop. To say that Matt Donovan uses the fact that his mother left him to gain sympathy, I'm like, when?
To who?
Where?
I've never once heard him be like...
He tells Caroline, who already knows this, he's
Right.
not presenting her with new facts. He tells Caroline when they break up at the end of season 2, when they finally end completely and fully, that among the things I'm dealing with, like a dead sister and having to work a job, my mom is an absentee parent. That's the last time he brings Kelly Donovan up.
Right.
Until the final season.
Because that woman disappears from the show entirely.
He does not mention her again until season 8.
I'm so confused.
We'll discuss it. But I'm just like, so how is he constant to say that he's always using her to gain sympathy? But I'm like, with who? When? He never mentions Kelly to Tyler, who's his best friend, to Elena, who he's quite close with.
Uses the fact that his mother left and his sister died to gain sympathy from everyone. Yet Matt is, maybe this is a bold statement to make out of nowhere. I feel like he's the only one who doesn't actively talk about the people they've lost. The Elena thing became a meme of how many times she lists how many people have died in her family. And that's fine to do because girls got a lot of grief.
And to say that, everyone else has lost people, I'm like, this is something I'm constantly seeing with the Vampire Diaries fandom when they're defending, usually Damon,
their face.
But when they're defending any flimsy leg they want to stand on, they'll be like, well, characters A, B, C, D, E, and F have lost this, that, and the other, or have done this, that, and the other, or have survived this, that, and the other, and you don't see them complaining about it. And I'm like, it's almost like these are different characters with different personality traits. It's almost like this is a show where Stefan and Damon were both manipulated and lied to by Catherine, but it's Damon who has this deep, long-lasting enmity towards her, whereas Stefan is like, I hate you and I moved on. Like, why are we acting like everyone needs to react the same way to the same stimuli? I'm so confused.
I honestly, and once again, to be clear, the Caroline stuff, very valid. We spoke about it last session, but that's not what you're mad about. It's very clear that's not what you're mad about because that came at part 4 of a 5-part paragraph. So I know that's not what you're upset about. You just think he's boring, and I need you to just say that and move on. That's a perfectly fine opinion to hold. It does not make you any less valid, doesn't make you any less smart or critical. You can think a character's boring and leave it at that.
To say that Matt, a person who our main character Elena has shown she cares deeply for, is an anticlimactic catalyst for her turning her humanity back on.
She died for this
when
dude.
Damon tricks her into thinking she's watched him be murdered. I'm like,
quite literally sacrificed herself so he'd be saved. What are we talking about? He was her blood bag for weeks because she couldn't drink anything else. Like, what do you read of these situations? Do we know how friendship works? Do we know how to elevate out of our real experience and into the world of the supernatural and make like an extrapolation of what an act means?
I would love a comprehensive list of all the other more interesting and satisfying things that would have resulted in her turning her humanity back on. I'm like, please tell me. Because Jeremy's dead,
right?
So we can't use the blood relative angle.
And you know what it is, and I'm not going to do the 1, 2, 3 step to figure out if this person's a Delena person, but I'm sure it's because it wasn't Damon who brought her back. And I'm like, what?
It was Damon's idea. Take the win.
Take the win.
Do your victory lap.
Take the win. Wild. Sorry to start off here. I thought it would be funny, and I feel myself a little bit heated because I'm just like, I'm
entertained in the way that it can be entertaining to watch a really bad movie.
Here's what I'll leave you with, listener. If you're gonna be a hater, be a hater. I support your right to hate anything you want. But be an informed, well-supported, evidenced hater. Don't come here and make shit up just to support your... Don't come here and act like there's things you care about from a moral perspective. If you just hate a guy, be honest about it. That's all I have to say on that. On to Matt in season 5, I guess.
Where on earth does he start in season 5? I can't remember for the life of me.
Well, he starts in Czechia.
Oh, yes.
Strangely enough, while everyone is preparing for college because we have entered the college years, Matt Donovan is in, I assume, a motel room or a hostel in Czechia with Rebecca and with this tertiary woman named Nadia, and the three of them are having a little bit of fun, as we do. We've gone back and forth on whether this is a threesome or whether this is like, well, the girlies kiss to have the boy get his rocks off.
Not all threesomes are equal. There are 3 people engaged in shared sexual activity at the same time, so by definition, it is a threesome. But absolutely, Rebecca will never again show sexual interest in a woman outside of the scene.
Yeah.
In either show.
Yeah, Rebecca will also never show her face again in the show, I think.
Hey, she's gonna come back.
She has one special appearance, that's true. But Miss Girl is finally on her way to the spin-off, and I'm happy to see her go.
And B, Matt, it's definitely framed in a way like, oh, look at Matt watching these 2 babes make out. It's all about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay.
He like leans back and puts his hands behind his head, and I'm like, Matt, this is as straight as you've ever been, and I'm disappointed to see it.
The spirit of Tyler Lockwood entered him in that moment.
It's like, you know what? Peace be unto you. They're having a good old time, but this eventually comes to an end and Rebecca bids him goodbye and says, hey, this has been fun. She tries to get him to come with her to New Orleans. Insane.
Go to the spin-off, Matt. Maybe they'll respect you there. They won't. They hate Cammy. Even Davina had haters, and she was all...
And she was one of the most powerful characters in that show. They'll hate anybody who's not like perfectly hot and like
and a little bit evil,
enigmatic, and a little bit evil, right? You can't be normal in these shows, or else no. What are you doing here? So Matt's like, yeah, no, I need to go back to my job. Well, I need to get a job. I guess I don't work at the Grill anymore, and I need to figure out my life. So they split up,
and she tries to gaslight him into. I mean, she tries to gaslight us, the audience, into thinking that she's the one who's being like, yeah, this was just a fling. I'm leaving now, and don't make it a thing. She says, don't write, don't call, and don't you dare miss me. And I was like, ma'am, you chased after this boy for a year. Let's not pretend now like he was the one driving this ship.
That's very true.
I watched the last 2 seasons of this show. You can't lie to me.
Listen, I'm just happy to see her wake up again with love, because we love Matt here. Rebecca, please go somewhere else, girl. This can't be. Go to New Orleans, live life. Something that happened while they were in the threesome, supposedly, we hear this in their conversation, Rebecca and Matt, is that girl Nadia stole some things from them. Which, the way they talk about it, has some vibes that are like, and this is the season of the Travelers, as you will know, listener. There are some vibes in the way they speak about people in the season that don't feel good. But nonetheless, Nadia has apparently stolen some stuff from Rebecca, and she has stolen Matt's ring, which is the Gilbert ring. After Rebecca and Matt bid farewell, Nadia catches Matt's eye as I can't remember if this is while they're in Czechia or once he's returned home.
Oh no, their goodbye is in Mystic Falls. Like, she drops him all the way at home and then says goodbye.
Okay. And it's crazy that Matt didn't question that this assumedly Czech girl followed him all the way back to Mystic Falls from Czechia just to return this ring. He may ask that in the scene. I don't remember the scene very well.
She found Jesus while she was in Central Europe, and she said, listen, I need to go on an apology tour, return the things I've stolen, make amends.
Oh, God. So she lures him down an alleyway and is like, I'm sorry, I was just having fun. Here, have your ring back. And Matt is like, well, all right, I guess. But as he's grabbing the ring, this random man shows up and then grabs his head and starts casting a spell in a language we've never heard before. And it's like, oh, shit, okay, what's going on here? Matt's eyes go black and then he collapses. And that's the last we see him. And you know what? For a hot second there, I remember thinking, oh shit, Matt's getting like a storyline that's got nothing to do with... I mean, it's gonna, I assume, meet in the middle at some point, but like he's got shit going on. This is good.
Yeah, because that's what happens in this show. You'll have like 3 seemingly, on average, like 3 seemingly independent plot threads that will then suddenly converge in the last half of the season. And it's like, oh, this was all one thing all along.
Yeah.
What a coincidence that all these people decided to start doing things at the same time. At least with the Cure, I think we do learn that Shane was in contact with Connor Jordan.
Yes.
So that's why Connor happened to come to town at the same time that Shane was like deciding, I'm going to start manipulating Bonnie and all that. But usually it's like, what a coincidence.
What are you doing here? What are the chances that you found yourself in this area? Yeah, no, good writing is threading those in a good way. But yeah, it's like, okay, season 4 was a little bit, you were on the back burner. You disappeared for the entire Race to the Cure because it's like, yeah, why would Matt be there? So he's been needing something to do. After that, he starts waking up in weird places, right? He wakes up in his home and then he sees that like he's tracked mud into the house, but he does not remember where he's come from or where he was in that time. It was like Nadia met him in the mid-afternoon and then it's like nighttime and he's tracked mud into his house and he's lying on the ground. He has no idea where he's been. He's losing time. Something is possessing him or something's controlling him. It's not clear at first. He gets roped in by Damon into the Silas stuff, right? Because Silas is here. He wants Catherine because Catherine has the cure in her blood. So Matt and Jeremy are keeping Catherine safe. There's that cool scene in the episode where Catherine's running away, where Matt is pulling up with a rifle in hand and grinning, and you almost think, oh, he's been controlled by Silas and now he's here to hunt down Catherine. And this is like really like sinister smile he does to camera where I was like, whoa, that's not a Matt look at all. But once they've got Catherine, then you learn Damon's the one who's gotten them to get her, and they are driving her away. thing. I think Damon at some point changes the plan and says, okay, we're going to bring Catherine to Silas because we might be willing to make a plan here. And so Catherine's like, over my dead body.
But is it not in the woods when Silas finds them that Matt is killed?
Yes. So Catherine pulls the wheel, crashes their car. They have to be in the woods. Catherine can't get that far away because, again, these two strapping young lads. Catherine's human now, and she's quite frail. And now it's like, well, how are we going to fix this car? We're just trapped here now. And then Silas finds them because he's got people out and about in the world looking for them. And when he gets there, he tries to use his psychic powers on Matt, and they don't work. I think at this point he's tried to use them on Jeremy and they haven't worked because he is a hunter of the five, so he's immune to that mental manipulation.
Yes.
But on Matt, it's like, why is that? And then when he grabs Matt's head and peers into his mind, he goes, oh, you've got somebody else in there already. And it's like, huh? What the hell does that mean?
Who knew the key to blocking telepathy was to be possessed, I guess.
Just to be possessed by some other entity. These risky solutions. So when it doesn't work, he kills Matt. Because what else am I going to do with him? And this is an interesting development lore-wise that Matt is a part of regarding the Gilbert rings. Because at this point, Bonnie is dead, because of course. And she's on the other side, watching all her friends live their lives.
And no one except Jeremy knows that she's dead.
Right. And so when Matt dies, he wakes up on the other side, a distance away from his body. He's further into the woods, and he sees Bonnie. And Bonnie tells him, yeah, so the way the Gilbert ring works is that when you die, you do begin to pass on to the other side through the magic of the ring, and you have to find your way back to your body to then wake up again. Just that part of the process, you don't remember this bit. So when you wake up, it feels like it's the moment right after you died. And Matt goes, wait, but Bonnie, if I'm dead and I'm on the other side and I can see you, then what does that mean? And then Bonnie, sobbing, then tells him that she is dead. And Matt, oh, Matthew. Matt immediately like, I'm so sorry. And he grabs and holds Bonnie and pulls her into a hug.
And it's the first physical contact and comfort she's been able to have since her father was brutally
she can't touch
murdered in front of
Jeremy.
her. Because, yeah, she can't touch Jeremy.
My God.
So she sobs out all the pain from that as well. And it's like, we love you, Matt. This is our safe, kind,
This is the
straight
shit
boy.
he does. Right. He gives you the avenue for catharsis and for release of your emotions. Oh my God, it's beautiful. He's like, I'm so sorry I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I've been trying to contact you for ages. And she's like, you know, if I could have, I would have replied to your 100 emails. And I was like, that's kind of cute. Why don't you people use phones? I don't get this email bullshit. I've not emailed a single person that wasn't for school or work. This is news to me. I know we're in 2012, but like, I've seen y'all text.
Crazy. Also now I'm remembering, who was it? Elena's phone where she had Rebecca and Cole's numbers saved.
When did you get there?
And I was like, Cole? First thing, Cole is dead. So wild that you didn't delete that. But I was like, Cole?
In what world are you and Cole having a phone conversation? Are we catching up over tea? What's going on?
It's how she invited him over to the Gilbert house to kill him that one time.
You know, she spoke to Klaus and was like, hey, real quick, just shoot me your baby brother's number. Don't worry about it. No reason.
Which, as we know, is rude to just go around giving other people's numbers out, guys. Always ask for permission first.
Exactly that.
Unless someone has specifically said, here's my number, I'm looking for like work opportunities, help me network, feel free to give out my card to people. That's the only time it's okay. Oh, I will also say that they also established with this whole Gilbert ring, the mechanics of this resurrection, that each time you die wearing the ring, your spirit wakes up further away from where your body is, which might explain why Alaric, who died like 5 times by the time the Evil Alaric arc started, was taking longer to regenerate in season 3. It's like, oh, maybe he was further away. And also Esther tells us that when he was on the other side, she was slowly grooming him. So maybe she was sitting
him
down having long convos with him and keeping him from making his way back to his body.
And she was like, you won't remember this when you get back, but there'll be a little hint, a little memory, a little vibe you'll have with you. And you'll know what you need to do, baby girl. And it's like, okay, Esther, pop off.
Also, the implications that these buried memories could split off into like an alter ego, a separate personality.
Wild. And that was a question where I was like, okay, if this keeps happening for Matt, are we going down a path that maybe we're gonna get an evil Matt? I don't know what the portmanteau would be. There's really not a lot of names work as well as Evil Arik, you know? Or Killaric, as I'm partial to. But alas, guess not. Bonnie and him walk back to his body, and he's like, so I won't remember this when I go back. And she's like, no. And he's like, well, then how will I know you're dead? And she's like, don't worry about that. It's fine. And he's like, no, it's not fine, Bonnie. You're dead and none of our friends know. And all of us are like, you're away on whatever vacation. And like, they need to know. She's like, I just want them to live their college life and live their summer without any worry and without any heartache. And it's like, Bonnie, that's crazy. That's quite crazy.
Insane. Because at some stage they are going to have to find out you're dead and they will mourn. So it's not like you're sparing them pain.
You're just putting off the inevitable. And you know what? That's fine, Bonnie. You're having a moment. You're dead. What can I tell you? So they bid their goodbyes. And Matt goes back to the world of the living. And he finds that Jeremy and Silas have had an encounter in which Silas was able to beat Jeremy even though he couldn't use the psychic powers. Don't know what that's about. But Catherine has saved Jeremy so that they can get away. So it's like, oh, wow, Catherine. And as expected, he remembers nothing about what happened on the other side. Nadia comes back a little bit later. And Matt is, of course, furious. He's like, what the hell? I've been losing time. This immortal psychic told me there's something in my head. What did you do to me? And Nadia's like, I don't have time for this. Veet, which we very quickly learn, is the summoning incantation.
Product placement this season. Veet.
Nadia says this word and Matt's eyes go black. And then when the black disappears again, he starts speaking in this vaguely Eastern European accent, and you're like, hello?
I love it.
And then we learn...
It's so clumsy, but I was like, you know what, Zach Rohrig? You were the only actor in the universe of this show to say, yeah, if someone possesses you and then starts to speak with their psyche in your body, they should retain their accent. Accents are mental. In the same way
like
that if I possess
folds.
someone and they were, you know, person who only speaks Kiswahili and doesn't know a word of English, I wouldn't suddenly find myself unable to speak English and fluent in Kiswahili.
That's very true. That's very true. But then we're assuming with the spell consciousness is being transferred as part of whatever this is. So, yeah. And that it pushes Matt to the side. But since the last time they did this to Matt, we've learned that the person who went into his head prior is called Gregor. And at this point, Nadia has killed him, at least physically, with his body. And now we are learning
Which was crazy.
She killed him physically. Wild. Wild.
I had to get Silas to trust me. And I was like, by murdering your boyfriend's physical body?
And that's what he says, because he says, you killed me. And she's like, relax. Obviously, I had to do it.
Wow.
The dynamic is hilarious. But yeah, accent, I don't expect this like Californian American man. Is that who it's always gonna be like, we have big plan, you know? Like, I don't expect it to be like perfect. So
I appreciate the effort, because it was very odd hearing Klaus speak through Tyler at the start of season 4 and be like, love, in an American accent.
And it's like, why aren't you British then? At least put on a British accent. What the hell? Weird. But Nadia shows this man, hey, listen, we've got a plan. Don't worry too much about it. And then after that is when we see Matt wake up in his house, covered in like mud, tracking mud into his house. No idea how he's gotten there. He, of course, goes right to Jeremy to tell him about this, to be like, Jeremy, some weird shit's going on and I don't know what this is. Brings Jeremy to the house, shows him what's happened, and then he pulls out a dagger that was left in his pocket. It's a very cool looking dagger. It's we will come to learn the Traveler's like dagger, which is, well, we'll get into it. Jeremy, of course, is like, does it have something to do with the ring? Because this happened to Rick a while back. And Matt's like, no, I think this is a separate thing, dude. Like, there's this Eastern European chick. She's messing with my head. Not in that way, but you know what I'm saying. And Matt, proactive, love to see it, has been doing the Jackson thing where he set up cameras in his house to watch himself when he's not consciously aware. Remember when Jackson thought he was turning into a werewolf?
Jackson?
And was trying to capture it on recording. Jackson in Teen Wolf.
Oh, yes.
Yes, to try and capture himself transforming.
Sorry, I was thinking of Jackson Kenner from New Orleans.
Oh, you're
I was
so
like,
right.
what?
Also a werewolf.
Jackson, who is a werewolf?
Wrong show. But yeah, he's waiting to see that capture, where it is he goes when he loses this time. He asks if Bonnie can help him with this, and Jeremy's like, Bonnie, bye, and leaves because, again, no one knows she's dead. When he plays the video from the camera, he watches himself do a bunch of shit, basically just being like speaking in a voice that's not his own, speaking to somebody on a phone, grabbing the dagger, looking to the camera. This is the thing that was funny, is that Matt looks to Matt in the camera, but it's not Matt, and is like, you need to protect this dagger with your life. And then I think he cuts his own hand open with it, which is like, that's a lot. But I guess that's like a threat to be like, if you don't, I will kill you when I have control of you. Which, fair enough. Then they found out Bonnie's dead. And they all go to her memorial because we can't have a funeral because where's her body?
Oh yeah, Matt thought that he had done something to like piss her off and that she was giving him the cold shoulder. And so when she's speaking through Jeremy the medium, she's like, oh Matt, you didn't do anything wrong. I think that's when she says, I would have replied to all your emails.
It's like, damn, I thought you were just mad at me. Turns out you were dead. This is crazy, girl. I keep hopping on it because I'm just like, what's happening? Anyway, then we get into some Catherine shit, right? Because this is an interesting era where Matt and Catherine every now and then, I can't remember if it's before this or after this, but at some point, no, it's after this, and I just remembered why. Catherine turns out to be Nadia's biological mother. Nadia Petrova has come here in search of her biological mother and has found her and is now like, we're gonna leave this place and we're gonna move back to Europe and start a new life. And Catherine's like, I don't know about that. But at the same time, she's also being like, now who's this new boy you're dating? And why haven't you introduced me to him? So it's like, Catherine, having your cake and eating it too. She gets Nadia to bring Matt in. Stefan's here for this as well because Catherine and Stefan kind of have a thing going on right now. And they do the Veet, and then Gregor comes out and asks a couple questions, doesn't get any big answers, but like Catherine knows about the travelers and stuff. She takes the dagger on Matt's person and uses it to stab Matt, effectively killing Gregor inside his body because Gregor is a passenger in Matt, and that dagger is specifically designed to kill passengers. So Gregor dies quite unceremoniously, but Matt is free.
And Nadia's like genuinely upset by that. And I'm like, but you killed his physical body without his consent.
What was your plan?
I didn't know this was a real relationship.
It's like, was your plan for him to be in Matt for the rest of your life? And I was like, yeah, I guess. You already like how Matt looks, clearly.
I guess. Or to find someone else. I guess you can switch passengers. Hosts.
Because it was like Gregor was not happy about being in Matt's body as far as we heard from him.
I guess during this interrogation, he does reveal that he was using Nadia for the traveler's plans. So I guess that's also like, oh.
That's wild. Well, I guess he needed to die.
The most disappointing moment of Catherine Pierce's life. To be like, a daughter of mine being manipulated
used
by a man. This is not our MO.
Instead of manipulating the men, girl, you have so much to learn from me. What is this? And she kills that man. And you know what? Fair enough. But it's like, okay, yay, Matt's free of this possession. But at the same time, it's like, well, I guess that storyline's done? Where does Matt go now? And the answer's nowhere.
He goes to Nadia eventually.
That's a while away. Because that's in like episode 14.
Gosh.
Right now, after this moment, I think it's in the episode after, Catherine and Stefan again are sort of like vibing because Catherine tries to kill herself at the end of this episode and Stefan saves her. Very romantic, very brave. She, of course, becomes reignited in her affections for him and she decides, I need to start looking hot and having a rocking bod. How do I achieve that? I'm going to hire that hottie Matt Donovan, who I'm so obsessed with, to train me up as my personal trainer. The most fascinating development in season 5. A season of fascinating developments.
Honestly, Catherine, she had nothing going on. She had so much time to bang Matt if she really
this
wanted
was the time. This was the moment. And she said, no, Matt, you're going to make me look hot for Stefan. And Matt was like, okay, I don't have anything else going on. And he shows up. He's got his little whistle. He's got a stopwatch.
Hey, I think she said she was going to pay him.
Yes.
I don't know what she was
because
paying
Matt needs
him.
a job,
Where
right?
Catherine's wealth
Matt
is.
needs money. Listen, even if she's human, I'm sure she's got caches sitting around places. She's got a Zurich account. She's fine. No, I lie. Because then why is she in Mystic Falls drinking liquor from Damon's cabinet? Girl, it's looking rough for you. So that happens, and that's kind of funny. Oh, there's that funny moment where he says something biting about her, and she's like, what did you say? And he's like, nothing. And she's like, no, seriously, what did you say? I think I'm losing my hearing. Because her body's starting to deteriorate. So funny. So funny.
Honestly, she's lucky that this rapid aging, the inertia of the magic catching up to her, seems to largely be internal. Because apart from some gray hairs and like a wisp of crow's feet, on the outside she still
falls out or something. It's like you still look snatched, girl. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm like, I don't know what Matt is being paid to do. It's like paid to make me hot again. I'm like, your body looks fine. I don't know. You still look like Nina Dobrev.
You look like Nina Dobrev. I'm sorry. I guess it's just so she can be limber for when they hit the sack. I don't know. Who knows? But this conversation is where we learn, because Matt's like, you're going through all this effort. Why don't you just become a vampire again? And she's like, don't you think I tried that? When I drink vampire blood, my body rejects it. So there's that. Oh yeah, Nadia then has a heart-to-heart with Matt where she genuinely apologizes for like the shit that went down. And Matt is like, actually, I kind of get it. Look, I see where you are with your mom, who's a nightmare, because at this point...
Oh, yes. Okay, I guess this is the only time he mentions Kelly before season 8.
And it's context dependent, because Nadia's talking about her mother who just left a suicide note and went to kill herself without telling her anything, and is now going through life as if nothing happened. So Matt's like, I see what's going on for you over there, and I understand, girl. My own mom was a whole deal. And that's where he leaves it.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't go on a long diatribe about
He's not trying to gain sympathy points. He's saying, listen, I said I understand, and this is the evidence that I understand.
God, get me on this podcast defending a man. Y'all need to shape up. So she asks him to keep the dagger safe, because her plan now is to get Catherine to try using traveler possession, because they are themselves travelers, to jump into someone else's body before she deteriorates to death. And she would need the knife to do that. Matt's like, no, because you still messed me up, and part of it was to do with that knife. I want nothing to do with it. And Nadia's like, all right. And Matt's the one to tell her, hey, from abandoned child to abandoned child, your mother does not care about you. Oop. Catherine only cares about Catherine. You need to accept that now, despite the many years you spent looking for her, and just try and live your own life.
Matt is like, you need to get to the level that I got to in season 1 when I was 17. And I told my mother to just leave.
Right. And I'm better off for it. And I want that for you. And Nadia's like, listen, at the end of the day, I don't know if I should hate her or if I should stay with her as she dies. She's my mother. And he's like, yeah, I get it. I will keep the knife, actually. So let me know if Catherine changes her mind. And she's like, thank you. And that's where that ends. I don't know if anything happens for Matt between then and when Catherine dies.
Who buries him alive?
That's when Catherine dies. And it's Nadia, which is crazy after he did this for her. I need y'all to understand that this boy is put through so much, and he's always trying to be so helpful. I don't know if y'all are getting it. He just gave her a heart-to-heart, advised her about her mother, said, I'll keep this knife for you that you used to possess me with your boyfriend. And now she's burying him in a safe on the Salvatore property.
The thing about Petrova women, and this includes Isabel and Elena, the thing about Petrova women is you can have a deep heart-to-heart with them, and then if it serves them, they'll still turn around and stab you in the back. Literally, in Elena's case, who daggers Rebecca after they commiserate over their shared orphan status. Isabel, who is like, yeah, I came to town to be evil, but Alaric, I do really love you, and I regret how things ended between us. However, I'll happily kill you if those are my orders, and if it's what Catherine
Certainly,
wants.
don't get it twisted. So that happens while she takes Stefan and Elena off to go do doppelganger shit, and the rest of the squad goes looking for Matt. But no one's actually looking for Matt. I think Caroline, Bonnie, and Jeremy are talking about the fact that they've hooked up. Bonnie's alive again, by the way. It took a while, but we got there. No, I lie. She's not alive. She's straddling the line between life and death, but she's physically here. Matt is in fact found by Rebecca, who comes back for her special appearance because we need Caroline to set sail. And
no, they don't set sail.
well, sorry, poor choice of words. We need Caroline to knock boots in the woods one time.
We need Caroline to have, like, I guess, the opening ribbon cut and then immediately just, like, set fire to the ship and let it sink to the bottom of
There
the
you go.
harbor.
We send off the boat with a bottle, but the bottle's a Molotov cocktail, you know? So, bet y'all were happy with that one. So Rebecca saves him, but it's largely inconsequential, so I don't think we even need to get into that. Also, Tyler comes back this episode because they finally let that boy go too. And now he's back in Mystic Falls, also with nothing to do. Season's crazy.
Give the boys their spin-off show.
Truly the hunting party, the show that could have been. Give them something to do. After this is when we enter, of course, the era of Catherine Lena, when Catherine possesses Elena's body via passenger magic. And in order to successfully achieve this, Catherine and Nadia have kidnapped and are compelling Matt to download all he knows about Elena from their 15 years of friendship so that she can very successfully impersonate Elena.
Matt, who is back to wearing vervain bracelets that can just be taken off him, because I guess Connor Jordan didn't leave an impression on you when he almost blew you up in your place of work.
Yeah, there's nothing to be said about that one. And it's like he works at the Mystic Grill where they put vervain in the water supply. I guess they did burn down all the vervain in season 4.
The thing is, when Bonnie's father becomes a character, he brings more vervain to town in season 4. So there is vervain.
Because they put it in the
city.
water supply.
It's just that I guess once Klaus and Elijah left Mystic Falls, they were like, it's fine. We don't have to worry about compulsion anymore. Because I guess the Michelsons were the only bad vampires we'd ever met.
And the thing is, Matt's the only human and who cares about him? So nobody's thinking about the fact that he can still be compelled.
Yeah, he's the only one who can be compelled.
This is actually all of their own fault now that I think about it. Catherine was only successful at this shit because no one was feeding that boy vervain. But if he's living in Mystic Falls, shouldn't he just be drinking water anyways? Does he just not hydrate? No, he's so fit.
I guess they stopped putting it in the water supply after Rudy Hopkins was killed.
What's the new mayor doing? Who's even the new mayor?
There isn't one. I guess Liz is just leading the town now.
That's also distressing. She dies too. Who's leading the town now? So, what happens after that, actually?
They just keep, I guess, interviewing Matt in order to get all the deets because Catherine's like, oh, I can impersonate Elena in my sleep. I've been doing it for 5 seasons. And then Nadia's like, no, this is different than just impersonating her for like a few scenes at a time. You're trying to become Elena. You can't slip up. You need someone who knows her really well. As an aside, to those of you who claim that there's no deep connection between Matt and Elena, look at who Catherine trusted to tell her everything she needed to know.
They pick? Right.
I know he's the only one who can be compelled, but still.
They knew Maddie Blue's the one who has the info. And because Catherine is insane in this era, Nadia is juggling so many plates trying to keep this going. And while she's with Matt pretending to everyone that they're now a thing so she can more easily keep track of him, she's starting to slip. Because it's looking very dodged to Tyler and to an extent Caroline. So
Tyler, of all people, is like, Tyler who watched his friend have a romance with Rebecca, the sister of his arch enemy.
just being like, what
is like, this looks a little fishy.
What's going on here?
My favorite moment from the whole interviews with Matt situation is Catherine going, okay, who does Elena love more? Bonnie or Caroline? Please say Caroline. And then Matt is like, she loves them both equally. And Catherine like rolls her eyes.
She's like, ugh, boo. Okay, fine. And it's like, I was like, Catherine, that's a bit crazy. Is that racial? And then I was like, no, she hates Bonnie because Bonnie screwed her over last season.
Yes. I think she hates Bonnie because she's scared of Bonnie, whereas she's like, yeah, I can handle Catherine. I made Catherine.
I made Caroline. She's my progeny.
I can handle Caroline. I made Caroline. I manipulated her when she was a newbie vampire. I'm not scared of her.
but Bonnie will show her flames quite literally. Oh, that's fun. I love that. Okay, so here's the thing, and this is per the wiki. Apparently, the thing that Tyler sees is Nadia compelling Matt to drink vervain so that she can't use him anymore. So there is vervain around, it seems. I guess they just got him in a window period? I don't know.
I don't remember Nadia compelling him to drink vervain. I always take what the wiki says with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
We know there have been moments when they've said stuff that's blatantly untrue.
I do think there's a moment where she decides that, like, using him like this, they're, like, sitting at a cafe and he's staring at her with his puppy dog eyes and she's like, ah, shit, where am I? What am I doing to you just to keep my crazy mom happy? And she doesn't even appreciate it. Like, what's going on? And I think she has a momentary change of heart. But then when she leaves, some Catherine shit happens and she's like, nah, I need Matt again. And she comes back to compel him, but now he's wearing vervain and it resists the compulsion. And then Matt's like, oh, you've been compelling me, because I think Tyler's gotten to him at this point and had a chat with him. And he's like, no, we're just hanging out. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, Tyler was right. And Nadia's like, well, this is going to be a problem. So Nadia has to go. And then Matt's like, I'm going to tell Tyler everything. But then when he does go to, Nadia snaps Tyler's neck and then says, now your job, Matt, is to convince your friend that actually everything's fine and normal, because if you don't, I'll kill you and him. I was like, okay. Cool. So Matt does that. Unvervained, he successfully fools Tyler into thinking they're just hanging out. And Tyler's like, stay away from her because she's crazy. And as you know, straight boys love to say, you don't stick your in crazy.
I thought they always say, you know what they say about the crazy ones.
What's that? Oh, that they're good in the sack. God, straight people suck.
I think Tyler is still suspicious because he's around when the scuffle happens. Well, he's around for the scuffle to happen, but I can't remember how that unfolds.
I know that she stops keeping him out of the loop, Matt. She starts telling him, like, what is actually going on and why they are using him, because he realizes that, like, oh, I haven't been talking to Elena this whole time. I guess that was Catherine. Now that I'm on vervain and I'm like not compelled right now. That's what makes sense.
Oh yes, when does the help K message come through?
So that's in this coming episode where Tyler and Caroline, in the midst of their business, Tyler is still like, I'm gonna go over and check on Matt, and Caroline's like, oh, I'll come, and Tyler's like, no, that's okay, I'm gonna go do that. She's like, no, it's no worry, we'll go on the way, because this is post Klaus and she's trying to like mend fences. So they both go over to Matt, and then when he answers the door, Nadia's there, and then she goes in, and then they're there sitting like a happy couple being all cute, because Tyler and Caroline have gone there to be like, I still don't trust this girl, I think it's weird, and I'm pretty sure she's compelling you. I remember Matt and her are sitting like, he's sitting and she's got her arms wrapped around his one arm, and he has this goofy smile, and she's just like, oh, I'm just arm candy, don't worry about me. And then as Tyler and Caroline are grilling them with questions, they're answering, and the moment they try to catch Nadia out, Nadia's like, I can understand why you'd be worried, you know, given this is well-trodden territory for you, Caroline. I know you have a complicated history with Matt and with Tyler, I hear. Interesting. It's just like completely deflect the issue. And then she's like, oh, but I've heard that's not going so well because you're with that other man now. Or are you? And it's like, oh, bitch, you're messy.
She is the daughter of Catherine Pierce.
She said, oh, you're hopping from man to man to man. You're coming to speak about me, which is crazy. That's not how it happened. Don't say that about my girl Caroline. But I do think it's very messy, and that's fine. Matt has vervain in his system and makes the decision to like hide that, because it's like, rather that to be safe with my friends with this 500-year-old vampire than have a fight ensue. He pretends that, oh yeah, I've drank vervain. She tries to compel him. It doesn't work. And it's like, no, I genuinely am with Nadia. Everything's fine. And they're like, okay, well, I guess we were wrong. And then they head off. And then Nadia stays with Matt until the vervain leaves his system. He's like, okay, well, since you're going to compel me anyway, why don't we just have a little fun time? Because I'm not going to remember it. You're going to have to get rid of me after this. So let's just, you know, I know you like me. You know I like you. Let's have a little kissy. And she's like, I can't say no to your ice blue eyes, Matty boy. And they make out. And Matt's first successful honey potting. Very smart. Use your masculine wiles, my boy. You should be allowed to be a femme fatale. A mask fatale? Is that allowed?
Femme as in French for woman, I think. Or something like
and-
that. So mask would not be the opposite.
Homme fatale. It would be homme hatal. I don't know. So as they're making out, he reaches for her phone and he types the message help K and shoots it off. He sends it to Caroline and she catches him, compels him away. The help K message is what allows Caroline to realize, oh no, he's in trouble. Comes back and she's like, Matt, what's going on? And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, what? You sent me this weird message. And Matt goes, what message? And then it's obvious that he's been compelled, which is why I'm like, Nadia was slipping in this era, and it's not her fault.
She was going through a lot. She was the one who had to come up with the idea to coach Catherine on knowing more about Elena's life. Catherine is still not doing such a good job because I think in this era, even Stefan on his own is beginning to get suspicious of why is Elena acting so out of character. She knows a lot of stuff from history that I don't think the average millennial college age girl would know.
It's like, why is she trying to move in on me now that her and Damon are broken up for the third time or whatever? This is not a very,
I think at one point,
particularly Elena move.
She mentions some historical facts and Stefan's like, strange. Catherine lived through that era. And she has to be like, no, I did a paper on it once. You know, while we were like fighting Klaus or running from the tomb vampires or something. I wrote a paper on it. So I think Catherine also realizes that Matt is becoming suspicious in this era. And I think she's told Nadia to get rid of him, which Nadia didn't want to do, which is why she was so insistent on just compelling him. Because she's like, no, he's kind of cute and nice. I don't want to kill him.
Yeah.
So she's stressed. She's coming apart at the seams.
Oh, bless her. She has to direct the show, produce the show, and now Catherine wants her to be talent. It's crazy. No one can do all of it. Nadia then comes by and sees, and Caroline's like, oh, okay, this shit is off. And Nadia's like, well, you had to come and screw it up. And that's when the scuffle happens. And they fight.
She attacks Caroline, who's obviously outclassed because she's 500 and Caroline's like been a vampire for 3 years.
2? Oh, 3. Okay.
2, I don't know. Yeah, 2, like middle of her junior year, I guess.
Yes.
So like 2 years. 2.5
and some
years.
change, yeah. And then Tyler rushes in to save the day, tackles Nadia out of the way, and for a brief moment, using his hybrid tenacity, he gives Nadia a quick nip on the shoulder.
Because young hybrid trumps old vampire.
Sure, Tyler.
I mean,
Take the
hey,
win.
at least in terms of resilience, because hybrids are harder to kill.
Okay.
And in terms of the tricks they have up their sleeves, because hybrids have the venomous bite.
I agree with all of that.
And they don't need daylight rings.
I think Tyler meant physical force, and I think that's silly.
Tyler would believe that. So I mean, remember he was groomed by Klaus, who was telling him, yeah, we're the superior species, the
little bit of the supremacy got in there.
That plot line got abandoned so quickly in season 3. Klaus's whole, yes, the new superior race.
Oh no. The moment he hit Mystic Falls and he had to become sad boy, they abandoned all the Nazi leaning like tendencies that he was with, and they were like, no, he's tortured now. He's an artist.
He paints snowflakes.
Right. Oh, there's something in that. So Nadia gets nipped, and this is a werewolf bite, of course, which to a vampire is lethal. So she gets up and runs away, and Matt is saved. Hooray! He is present when they're all getting together to kill Catherine. I think he makes one of the phone calls to be like, Elena, how about we go see this movie or whatever? Don't you want to hang out?
Every time we get to this part, I'm like, you guys are so bad at this. You're trying to lure someone, one of the most suspicious paranoid people you know, into a trap, and you're all acting so out of character and so insistent on
You're
seeing
having
her.
5 of you call her in a row in 15 minutes. It's like, guys, come on. Amateur hour. You've been doing this for 3.5 years. I don't think he's that involved in the actual like plan to get her.
I think they eventually get Nadia, and that's how they draw Catherine in.
Yes, and he's the one who's like, I'm gonna go bury Nadia when she dies because she deserved better than this. And he heads off to go do that. Despite everything she put him through, he was like, no, I'm going to bury her with some dignity. And that's really lovely because, again, at the end of the day, Maddie Blue is a sweet
Maddie
boy.
Blue.
And as we conclude this Catherine arc, because Catherine also dies in this
Oh yes, we
episode,
forgot to say her
in
her
the-
first official death.
Yes.
is when they're doing the drinking game, and Matt is they were like, oh, let's list the things that she's done to screw us over, and he's like, oh yeah, she's the reason Vicky died, I guess. And Damon's like, exactly, because I wouldn't even have been in town to turn your sister into a murderous vampire if it weren't for looking for Catherine in a tomb that she wasn't in. And I was like, insane that Matt's allowing you to get away with shifting this blame, but okay.
Let me tell you something. The writer who put those words in Maddie's mouth, you will begin to feel a cough in 4 days. Because that is one of the things that goes so long unengaged with, the fact that Damon killed his sister. Just completely untouched. And he has to just contend with the fact that Damon is in the friend group now, around and about, dating his best friend. And it's like, we've not addressed, you killed my sister.
And Matt is one of several characters who never warms up to Damon. So to that Reddit poster, if that's what you mean by stick in the mud, I'm sorry that someone whose sister got killed by this guy when he was in his evil era and just had to watch it get swept under the rug didn't end up being his biggest fan. Like, oh well.
In what world does he end up chums with Damon? Screw that. And he has to like run around as a lackey for him with Jeremy. It's silly.
It's the same way in which Caroline is treated as having this petty grudge against Damon. And I'm like, did you watch season 1?
Did you watch episode 1, episode 2? Leave alone if you choose to accept the retcon that none of the sexual assault happened. He was using her for weeks as a pawn, feeding off her, making her spy on her friends, making her, like, putting people in danger.
Verbally abusing her.
And she was just a human girl. That man sucks. Anyway.
When she dies properly, Matt's final goodbye is when Catherine
yes,
says,
because you remember those.
Maddie Blue, the one person in this town who appreciates how beautiful you really are.
And she's so right.
You wouldn't stick a knife in me, would you? No. And then she says, you're definitely going down as the best night I never had.
Oh.
And all Matt says is, oh well. Oh yeah, because I think she says, oh well first. She's like, oh well. And he's like, oh well. And she just walks past
Donovan? Matthew Donovan. You whore. I see you.
Catherine, you had time. You had so much time.
She had time. She shot herself in the foot while she was busy having him play personal trailer. She had a shot. Foolish. Busy chasing after Stefan. Stefan's gone, girl. Now you're gone, girl. Anyway, Catherine dies. And Matt moves on. Yeah, I think after this, it's the Liv era, right? Because Luke and Liv have been in town for a couple episodes now. And they've been duping everyone into thinking they're just a couple of new kids at college. Liv is a witch. Luke is Elena's gay best friend she didn't know she had because Catherine was possessing her.
Liv is a witch. Luke is a gay.
Right.
When they get together, hijinks ensue.
The party goes off. Go back to the Luke and Liv episode if you want to hear about those two. We love them here. Once it comes out that the twins, Liv and Luke, are here regarding the Travelers, trying to stop their big master plan, which is really only coming into fruition in these last, 5 episodes. So it's like, okay, our big antagonist. They're like, we need your help, Jeremy, because you're the hunter of the 5 and you have skills. And then they go, actually, no, the timeline's been moved up. We have to kill the doppelganger. They fail to kill the doppelganger. They're like, we're out of options. Jeremy's like, hey, I've got my boys here, Matt and Tyler. The 3 of us need a storyline. Sign us up. We're going to do this. And so the 3 of them start joining the effort in sussing out the travelers in town. And the plan is to take these traveler knives and kill as many travelers as they can, one by one, manually.
I think there's only one traveler knife.
There's
which is why
only
it's so
one
important.
knife. They gave those 3 boys one knife to one by one stab people in Mystic Falls, and then I guess compel the memory away and just have an errant stab wound. What a plan. They start that, and in that, Matt has to stab himself to prove he's not a traveler, which he does. And Liv says he has too much testosterone and too little brain cells. All right, Liv. You're saying that as an insult. I'm saying that as a compliment. I believe they lose track of the knife because Tyler gets passengered by the end of this episode, and he's the one with the knife. He goes to test Sheriff Forbes because she said something suspicious, but it's Sheriff Forbes, so she tases him. And then I think they kill him, right? No, they don't kill him. They passenger someone into him. So that's the end of that plan. Then the other side starts falling apart because reasons. And they're trying to figure out a way to stop that from happening, but they can't. And they also want to stop the travelers at the same time who are making this anti-magic spell over the town and maybe the world, but they don't get there. And so now all of them are trying to get the travelers together in one place and kill them all in a conflagration. But they don't manage to do that before the travelers get their spell off, because they do get the anti-magic bubble up. Matt and Jeremy are the only ones who can cross in and out of the bubble without getting hurt, because all the vampires, if they get unspelled, they're no longer vampires. They start dying the way they died in life, and also their daylight rings don't work. So those two are being used as dowsing rods to see where the border of the anti-magic bubble is, which I thought was very novel and interesting. I thought that was fun.
Yes, also because Jeremy's hunter powers disappear when he crosses over. So he was like, I think he told Damon, I just focused on where I felt like I hated you the least.
Real.
I could tell that that's where the bubble starts.
Real. So they do that, and then they do the plan to get the travelers all in the Mystic Grill and blow them up with a burning car, Elena and Damon do. And then a bunch of their friends are dead, so they have to get them back from the... Well, Bonnie has to get them back from the dead as the anchor. And Matt's not really doing a lot.
Is Matt not the one who keeps them in the bar with the gas leak? Or is that someone else?
Sheriff Forbes. Sheriff Forbes is the one who does
Oh, well.
that. Matt is the one orchestrating the gas leak underground in the tunnels, because he knows the tunnels that lead from the Mystic Grill out into Mystic Falls somewhere because of the Connor Jordan situation a season ago. So him and Jeremy are orchestrating the gas leak that will cause the explosion. So he does that. And then once they've done that, they've done that. And I'm pretty sure that's the last thing he does this season. He's present when all their friends are being brought back from the other side, and when Bonnie and Damon inevitably do not return. No, I lie. He's not present for that, because Jeremy runs back by himself.
I mean, Jeremy might have just been running back because of the Bonnie of it all.
Yes, but Jeremy and Matt were together all the way over by the grill side. And then Jeremy ran back because he was on the phone trying to call Bonnie and sprinting back. I don't think Matt's there at the graveside or whatever when they're bringing everyone back.
Matt not being there, but Enzo being present.
Thank you.
Is the most insulting conclusion.
Thank you. And notice how we didn't talk about Enzo once so far.
We haven't met. I don't even know when he shows up in season 5. I don't think he has any scenes with Matt. Good Lord.
He's about to show up in a big way, but for now, that's the end of season 5. Not the best season and not his best season. Like I said, there were moments there where it was like, is he going to get something to do? But it's always a means to an end, and it's so short-lived. So it's like, you know.
I mean, he's got a nice tie to the Catherine and Nadia of it all, which I liked.
That's true. That's true.
As I said, he is a supporting character who supports.
And he is a human, so he's so vulnerable. Just wish he'd just have a gun on him at any time. Like, what's stopping you? The sheriff's not going to say no. She knows what's going on in this town. Have a rifle with wooden bullets in your car. Yeah, the Catherine era is fun. Even though he's under duress the whole time. We like the attempt at an Eastern European accent.
I like that he and Jeremy and Tyler had their little frat house thing going on.
It's cute. It's cute. Let the boys have fun. Let the boys have a slumber party. Let the boys have a spin-off show. That's all we're saying.
The 3 boys, they're joined by the ghost of Vicky, who is still on the other side until the end of this season.
Exactly.
Yes, that's something that happens. Matt is on the other side when it's falling apart closer to the end of the season. And Vicky is like, hi, Matt, I've seen you a few times here, but you never remember me. But now because the other side is all wonky, you will wake up with the memories. Then she gets sucked into hell, which is in the sky.
In the sky, as we know.
She doesn't get to find peace like Lexi did. She's just sucked into the darkness.
But yeah, they have a nice moment. She tells him to stay away from that original, which very good advice. And yeah, he was there for Bonnie in that quiet moment on the other side and gave her a comfort she could not get herself because she can't bloody touch anybody from the other side. But Enzo can, because the other side's falling apart. He can haunt people and shit.
Truly forgot he was a character in this season until we got to the end, and I was like, oh yeah, who was there for that final scene?
Yeah. It's everybody except Matt. It's so wild.
And I'll always remember, Enzo, I mean, it's not relevant to Matt, but I have to say it, Enzo, if you hadn't killed yourself...
Yeah.
then made a big deal of it and decided you actually wanted to be alive after all, maybe we'd have Lexi resurrected.
Exactly
Maybe
right.
Bonnie would have had the strength to bring back Alexia Branson.
Wild that we had to contend with Enzo as long as we did. And wild that we're going to have to contend with him now because in season 6.
Oh, no!
So anti-magic bubble is still up. So all the vampires can't be Mystic Falls. But it's okay because we're at college, which is 3 hours outside of town. Damon's like in a prison world. So is Bonnie. So Caroline and Elena are still at college. Well, Caroline drops out at first, but then rejoins. I don't know. Well, compulsion. I was like, I don't know how you'll do that.
That's how Vampaloric got a job as a college professor.
Exactly
Even though
that.
he's been legally dead for 3 years.
Woof. Stefan is off in Savannah, Georgia, living his medium life. And so
Tyler and Matt, I guess, are at Shay Lockwood, and Jeremy is in his hoe phase.
no, because Tyler can't be. That's the thing. So
No,
Tyler is still.
Tyler's an untriggered werewolf now.
Oh, Tyler's a werewolf. Tyler's an untriggered werewolf, but he is definitely at college. So there's that. I remember you were stunned to learn that when we were doing.
I'm stunned
Either
again.
Caroline
What
or
is he
Stefan, I
studying?
can't remember. Exactly.
Mayoral
Exactly.
studies.
Tyler was at college. Caroline was at college, and they said no. We're not going back there.
Rude. Oh, yeah, he's with Liv. Yes, he's in college, and that's how the Liv thing starts. Okay.
We're back in it. Matt and Jeremy remain in town. Jeremy is a bit of a mess right now because he has lost Bonnie once again, and now he's just like given up all hope. He's heavily drinking. He's hanging out with a bunch of people. It's a mess.
He's sleeping his way through Mystic Falls.
And you know what? Good for him. He should be so lucky in this moment. This is time to get some sort of gratification. Matt is doing his best to watch over him because Elena is, we won't get into it. But he was also... We won't. We simply can't.
She's dealing with her own substance abuse problems.
And Matt, once again, has to be ultra responsible and take care of somebody. Matt joins, I keep calling them the CPS. It's the Community Protection Squad, which is the squad that's been started up by a new character in this season, Thomas Vincent Fell III, Trip Cook, who is like a volunteer neighborhood watch situation. They're like running laps, they're being bros, there are 2 girlies in there, but they're never important when the vampire shit goes down, but we digress.
The unnamed Gryffindor girl.
Precisely. And so he's busy with that when this girlie runs into town with a bite on her neck and is acting crazy, screaming bloody murder, and she collapses, and he's the first at the scene. He immediately realizes what's happening. It was a vampire situation, so he starts doing damage control. Trip, who's a nosy Nelly, is like, no, we need to get the full story. We need to ask her what happened. But they're already carting her away. Sheriff Forbes shows up in a police cruiser and is like, we've got the situation on hand. Let's go. And Trip's like, I don't think we're getting the full story. Why are you so quick to get her away? And Sheriff Forbes is like, because she's bleeding out from the neck and we need to get her medical attention before we start the 3rd degree. Who are you again? Because I'm the sheriff in this town. And Trip's like, all right, fair enough. And he steps back.
He's an older white man in town who knows too much, and that's never a good thing in this show.
The most
looks at
dangerous
Logan
thing.
Fell, looks at John Gilbert, looks at Shane.
Right. So they take her away, but instead of taking her to the hospital, Matt takes her back to the border because he knows Caroline and Elena are there and has Caroline compel her to forget that she was bitten, which is the first in, I want to say, an interesting arc that begins, but I don't know if that's accurate to say. A potential arc that, once again, was like building up here, that is, it's not just something for Matt to do, it is something that ties into his position within the group and in this town as the only human left, right? Is that here he is taking somebody who's been viciously attacked by a vampire. Elena, by the way, to be clear. Elena bites through this girl and almost kills her because she's high on witch drugs. Again, we won't get into it.
A crazy sentence.
And it brings it close to home for Matt because it's like, up until now, the dangerous vampires were all the other vampires out in the world, the bad guy vampires.
Well,
and at most, Damon Salvatore in our
yes.
circle. Don't worry, I got it. I got you covered. But now it's like, oh, I guess my friends can also be dangerous too if they're not at their level, right? It's like all it takes is you losing one boyfriend to suddenly become a danger to everyone around us. That's kind of bad, right? And it's like in this moment, bringing her back to the border to be compelled so this girl can never know what happened to her, you can see fills him with conflict. And that's the beginning of like this shit that Matt's gonna be on for this season, which, if we're going back to the corkboard, I think this is another pin on the board that I think is what people were upset about regarding Matt, is that he starts to shift in his position on vampires generally around this time. Which, you know, can be frustrating when the characters you like in the show are vampires. But if you're viewing it from the lens of Matt being the one human and being this very protective person, it makes a lot of sense. After that, Trip is suspicious about the girlie because now she's just hanging out in town, which is like, okay, cool. But then here's the thing. When does she come back? And wouldn't that uncompel her?
I think that might be something they realize, that entering the bubble wipes compulsion from you.
Yes, you're right. They compel her at the border thinking she was just passing by. She was just on Route 49 or whatever that passes Mystic Falls and happened to get attacked by Elena. But her destination was Mystic Falls.
Yes.
So when she comes right back through the border, it uncompels her, and then it seems she knows about the shit that's going on. So that's a little thing that causes
She
some
comes
trauma.
back, they don't realize that she's been uncompelled until, I think it's when Elena and co are at the swimming hole, and either Caroline or Elena compels someone to go get ice.
Yes.
And later on, they see this person is back, and they're like, hey, you were told to leave, why are you back? And they were like, yeah, I walked into town and realized, wait, what am I doing? Screw her. And I came back, and they're like, oh, snap.
I love that moment, especially because it's this black girl who Caroline compelled, and she's like, I realize I don't like her, and I don't want to do what she told me. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, girl. You don't have to. These girls are always too willy-nilly with these powers. But yes, and then they're like, wait, hold on. What about that girl we compelled who went into Mystic Falls? Oh, shit. Because this girl, Monique, has been hanging out in Mystic Falls saying, yeah, she's just here to chill. She has some family in town, so that's why she's here. And she and Jeremy have been hooking up. And Matt is like, okay, and what do I do with this now? Because this is a development I don't need. And then Trip starts to be suspicious about this girlie being like, Matt, what is this girl doing in town? Can you give me some info? And he's like, she just seems like a chill girl. I think she's okay. I'm worried that you're profiling her. That's kind of weird, but whatever. But later in that episode, he comes back to chat with Trip and to explain that, listen, Jeremy's going through a rough patch, but I wouldn't worry about it. I'm keeping an eye on him. He's been through a lot. It's going to be fine. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not worried about him. I'm aware of Jeremy. That whole Gilbert family, I'm very familiar. And Matt's like, oh, why is that? And he's like, I'm actually from a founding family. Did you know? And it's like, oh? New information. And that's when he says that he's actually, because he's been introduced as Trip Cook, he says, I'm Thomas Vincent Fell III, but people just call me Trip, which you, Fadzai, have advised is because the third, usually boys who are the third of their name are called Trip because of triplet. So that was fun to learn.
Western customs.
Foreign to me entirely. So now we know he's a founding family, and Matt tries to be like, so that means you know about the stuff that goes on in Mystic Falls? And Trip's like, what? Is there some kind of secret handshake I don't know about? Because Trip supposedly he left town when he was quite young to go live with his mother when his parents split. And so it's like, oh, he wasn't raised in the ways of the founding. That sounds like some witch shit. I actually kind of love that. And so Matt's like, ha 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 ha, never mind. Goodbye, guy. Thereafter, we see Trip drive a bunch of vampires over the border and burn in the sunlight. So it's like, well, I guess he does know what's going on. So there's that. There's the bit where Trip's cleaning off his car and is like, I was moving around red mulch, but it's clearly blood and everyone's pretending it's not. So there's that.
What is mulch made of? Is it not bloody?
I think it's leaves.
Oh.
It's like wet leaves. It's like a farming thing or like a planting thing. You put in mulch for plants to grow or for plants to be held in place. Something like that. So I think it's like leaves and plant matter.
Wild that the people in this town don't know what blood looks like.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, Matt, you know what that is. This is silly. But this is also when they introduce Jay, another squad boy, who's like a little friend of Matt's for the episode. I say for the episode because, ooh, it's not looking good for Jay.
Oh, the ginger, our first redhead boy.
The phenotypes, they're expanding. They go to this swimming hole party that they have because Caroline's trying to recapture the golden days. No, Elena's trying to recapture the golden days. Caroline's like, girl, you're acting crazy because you lobotomized yourself, so I don't know what you want from me. So Matt and Tyler show up because they're like, yeah, sure, why not? And it's very awkward and it doesn't go well. They do jello shots. It's so sad. After that, Matt finds out there was an encounter between Enzo and Stefan in which squad boy Jay, who turned out to be a vampire hunter, was killed by Enzo. And Enzo shows up and dumps Jay's body in Tyler's truck. And he's like, yeah, you need to go dump this person for me somewhere, thanks. And Matt's like, that's my friend. And Enzo's like, oh, well, your friend tried to kill me. And it's like, well, shit. Here we are now. Once again, another moment of like, why do we just let Enzo hang around when this is the shit that we're doing? This is Matt's sort of perspective that's shifting this season. Because Tripp seems suspicious, Matt now tries to figure out, is Tripp actually on the level or is he genuinely telling the truth when he says he doesn't know? So Matt has to lie to Tripp and be like, oh, I don't know, we went together to the party, because Tripp is like, I left him in your care. What happened? And Matt's like, yeah, we were at the party, but Jay said he was going to head out and do something else. I should have stuck with him. I should have drived him. It's this really awful thing where he has to lie about his friend that he didn't even know was dead because another person in his circle has killed him. And so Tripp's like, okay, well, I gotta go tell his family that their young son has been taken from this world too soon. And Matt's like, can I go with, please? I feel somewhat responsible. And so they go together. And then on the trip back, Matt is asking some slightly probing questions. And we learn about Tripp and his wife who passed away. And then that's when he returned to town. That's when it seems things kind of changed. Talks about the fact that Sheriff Forbes doesn't like him and is like, oh yeah, my wife and her were old enemies. And it's like, I think there was something more, Tripp, but you know, I want to blow up your spot.
Old enemies. His wife was besties with Kelly Donovan. It's a whole thing.
Right. They were playing field hockey. Okay.
Ooh.
Matt says something that like gives a little hint to Tripp that there's more going on in this town. And Tripp is immediately like, do you want to see something? And then takes him to the sketchy shed in the middle of nowhere where he reveals to Matt that he has captured Enzo. He did so at a bar the prior episode. We watch it happen. He gets vervained. And then Stefan shoots him in the back, which was deserved. He's like, a vampire I've captured. It's what I do. Vampires are real. Here's my sob story about how they killed my wife and made me watch and then made me believe that it was my negligence that caused an accident and killed her. I say sob story. It's really awful what they do to Tripp. Again, go back to the Tripp episode. His story is very interesting. But now his crusade is to hunt vampires and he seems to be very new to it. And Matt watches this happen and sees Enzo who knows Matt, and is like, okay, so this is now a precarious position to be in. Yeah, Tripp has, instead of killing Enzo like Stefan thought, captured him to have him rat out a bunch of other vampires because he knows Enzo's not the only one. And so now Matt's like, well, I don't give a shit about Enzo, but my actual friends who are vampires will get exposed because of this. So, subsequent episode, he starts off giving like Enzo his rations, being like, here you go. And this is where it begins. Because this is the conversation in which Enzo's talking about, Stefan Salvatore is the one who placed me here. And Matt's like, Stefan thought you should be in here. It's probably for good reason. And he's like, oh, why? Because Stefan's moral compass is true north. And it's like, oh, God. Enzo starts going on about how he's maligned because everybody likes Stefan and nobody likes him. And Stefan's the true evil. And Matt's like, all right, sure, buddy.
Which Enzo entering a friend group and then being upset that a pre-existing member of that group is not liked less than you. Insane. Go find other friends.
That's what I'm saying. So it's just like, you don't need to be here. Why are you here? Which Matt will ask many a time. Enzo's like, get me out of here or I'll expose all your vampire friends. And Matt's like, shit, okay, I gotta go. He heads off to tell Caroline. Caroline is like, Enzo's been captured, why didn't you say anything? And he's like, sorry, I can't keep track of which vampires we like and which vampires we don't like. Like, y'all shift on any given day. And she's like, all right, well, fair enough. We've got to do something. So they orchestrate to go and try and free Enzo, but Enzo's already gone by the time they get there. Now they're off to Caroline. Instead of getting Caroline at her dorm room, they get Damon. This is where everybody goes to the borders, where Tripp likes to drive vampires over the border for them to die. And they're like, we'll catch them at the borders. There's only 2 exits. While Elena is busy sticking her head into an anti-magic spell so she can love Damon again, Rick and Stefan are at the other exit. And they find Tripp fell and they accost him. There's an accident, crash. Actually, now that I think about it, Matt's not there for any of that, is he?
No.
Yeah, okay, well.
It's Enzo who's there, along with the Salvatores and Vampiraric.
Of course he is. I just give him a gun, guys. I don't know. Give him something. Give him Jeremy's crossbow. He's not using it. Like, damn. That happens. They capture Trip. And then they put him in the cell. They let Enzo torture out of Trip where the location of all his squad boys are because they're still in the wind. But by the time they do that, the squad boys have captured Liz Forbes. And that's when they do the hostage exchange across the border for their safety. They let Liz Forbes go across. They let Trip go across. But at that point, Enzo has turned Trip. And Trip, who is a transitioning vampire, dies on the spot because of the anti-magic. His neck is gashed open. And he falls to his knees. Gagged. For Matt, unfortunately, this is not a win because this was a mentor of sorts for him. And in the first 7-episode arc, there's been a conflict for him where it's like he's this vampire hunter and he's been accosting all his friends in these last couple episodes. But for that first 5 episodes, he was keeping the community safe, right? He was so focused on keeping the humans of Mystic Falls safe and dealing with the vampires skulking at the border who were attacking people. Because vampires can't be in Mystic Falls, they're now waiting by the exits for people coming in and out and grabbing them there. And Trip's efforts, no matter whether you like him or them or not, were working. And so, once again, this adds to Matt's mindset and thinking about this human-vampire relations issue, for lack of a better phrase. After that, girl.
Is this the fake Sarah arc?
Yes, I believe so. A favorite.
This Wattpad feeling nonsense of an arc. You know how I always say Wattpad stories were often written chapter to chapter, so sometimes a twist would not be something that the writers had been planning. It was just like, well, I'm here now and I feel like doing this. So actually, surprise, this is the plot now.
So, Sarah, aka Monique. Oh, yeah, she's not Monique yet. She introduces herself as Sarah, right?
Yeah.
This girl, Sarah, who came to town, who I was calling Monique earlier, has divulged that she is actually a Salvatore secretly. Her family are the Salvatores, and they're who she's been looking for. Her mother was named Gail, and she was with Zach Salvatore, the uncle-nephew of the Salvatore brothers. She's here looking for a family connection because she's been through the foster system. Matt takes a shining to her and tries to help her out.
How does Enzo become involved?
That's what I'm trying to figure out also. It's when Matt goes, okay, Sarah, now that my mentor is dead and this community squad shit is done, I am going to take you to Stefan Salvatore, who is your uncle. I've known him the whole time. Sorry I didn't tell you. But it's like, might as well link y'all up now. He's a good guy. It's all good. And that's when he brings her to the diner. And Enzo, who just so happens to be at this diner that he loves.
Enzo is just there?
He's just there.
Oh my lord.
He's just there.
All this because he just happened to be in the diner.
Yeah. I wish I could tell you there was some pointed reason he engaged them. He was just at the diner and was like, oh, Matthew, who's this lovely lady you have with you?
Why?
And he's like, buzz off, Enzo. Nobody wants you. And Enzo's like, how boorish. Hello, lady, I'm Enzo. And she's like, oh, charmed. And he's like, yeah, he's the guy who killed Trip Fowl. Remember him? And she's like, oh, goodness, no. And he's like, way to be a wingman, dude. It's like, what show do you think you're in? Anyway, Matt introduces Stefan and Sarah together. Stefan is like, okay, interesting, and does that cool trick where he gets the waitress to make them a smoothie, turn on the smoothie machine so he can be like, I know you're a con artist. Let's get out of here so we can talk real talk. And Enzo's mad because he can't hear the conversation between two family members that aren't connected to him in any way. So he's like, hey, Matt, what do you think they're talking about? And Matt's like, why do you care? Who are they to you? And he's like, well, I'm interested in what Stefan's getting up to. You know, I know all of you fawn all over him, but I know his secret. I have his number down. And Matt's like, okay, what are you doing in this town? Enzo's like, don't worry. And then when they leave and Stefan and Sarah have the conversation where Stefan's like, I know Sarah Salvatore because I rescued her from the death of her mother. And I made sure she went to a good family and that I know where she's in school right now. So who are you, con artist? Finds out this girl's actually Monique, once a friend of Sarah at sleepaway camp. And then Stefan's like, you're going to leave this town and you're going to forget that you even knew my baby niece because I don't want your shit here. and you're gonna move on. And he compels her, and she's leaving. And at this point, Enzo has told Matt, aren't you the least bit curious what they're off talking about? And Matt, for whatever reason, goes along with him. Still not super sure about that one.
Maybe to try and keep him from causing more trouble than he would if he was on his own. If that was the idea, you failed in that task, Matt.
I feel like he'd be able to do that better with a gun. If he had a gun in his hand, he might have been able to do a little something. Case in point, Monique walks past, Matt looks like horrified at Stefan, being like, you compelled her? And Stefan's like, she wasn't who she was saying she was. Of course I compelled her. I don't need her here causing trouble for my family. And then Enzo comes in and decides, this is actually my problem now. Grabs Monique and holds her neck and is like, I'm gonna kill her, Stefan, if you don't tell me what you're talking about. And it's like, why? And he's like, why not? And then Stefan doesn't tell him, and Matt's like, if you do it, Enzo, I swear to God. And he's like, what? Make another empty threat. And then kills Monique. And Matt stands there, and there's nothing he can do.
Stefan, if only you'd lied. You could have just lied and been like, she revealed that she's not really my niece. She was lying. She's an old Catherine Stan who fell in love with me.
But then it's like, how would you know
What's
that?
Enzo? Because I'm like, Enzo barely knows these people. You could feed him any lie.
He did say that, though. He did say she wasn't really my niece. That girl died back in 95.
Oh.
It's just Enzo decides that he's lying.
Yeah, I guess Enzo's like, why couldn't you say that where we could all hear you?
It's like, what does it have to do with you? There's no version of the situation, I think, where Enzo got an answer that he wanted, right? Because there isn't one. So Enzo kills her, and then Matt turns to Stefan and goes, why didn't you stop him? And it's like, why are you putting me in it? I wasn't even here. You brought this girl to me. Anyway, Matt is like, I guess, even the good vampires can't be trusted because you just let that girl die to protect your secrets. And it's like, yeah, I guess. So that's where we are now. After this, Matt lures Enzo into a boiler room with the promise of revealing to him who the real Sarah was, and then shows him an empty diary, and then Jeremy comes up behind Enzo and stakes him. And I was like, so sick, so cool, we did something cool, now kill him. And Matt's like, no, I want him to suffer the way everyone else suffered. And he gets into Tripp's old van, trying to model his old mentor, puts Enzo in the back of the van and goes to drive him over the border. Unbeknownst to him, Malachi Kai Parker is in the story now and has sucked up the anti-magic bubble, and there is no border to cross. And when he opens the back of that van, Enzo St. John is not only alive, but out of his restraints. So...
And I'm like, Maddie Blue, I understand why you felt like this was poetic justice. And obviously you had no way of knowing that this was going to be the day that the A-plot would screw you over. But this is the Vampire Diaries, and it's not the first time this has happened. I'm sure it's happened several times, but the one that comes to mind is The Murder of One, where, again, involving Matt, we finally managed to stake Finn Michelson at the exact moment that Bonnie is unlinking the Michelson siblings under duress from Klaus.
At least in that moment, he manages to kill the original. Why'd you move that fast then? But for this one, you decided, ooh, let's save her. I guess Finn didn't do anything to you personally. But Enzo killed your mentor, so we've got to make him suffer. It's just like, you got to be a bit more pragmatic than that, dude. And this is why I'm upset, is that, like, this is where it waffles for me, where I'm like, you built this up pretty well for Matt to start, like, molding into that Trip figure, molding into that vampire hunter who's not going to be as nice about the vampires even in his circle, because somebody has to draw a line. A lot like Rick said in season 3, you'll remember, when he went to Sheriff Forbes and to Tyler Lockwood and said, you guys are also part of the problem because your family are supernatural creatures and you prioritize their safety over the safety of the people in this town. Mm-hmm. Somebody needs to be on this council who stands for the humans. And it seemed like that was where we were going with Matt. But then we go into this personal thing with Enzo that ends as quickly as it started. And then Enzo has him the whole season. Just has him in his pocket. And it's like, what are we doing with this?
To attach Matt to Enzo of all characters.
Right.
I guess because Elena needs to build to her Delena crescendo because this is her last season in the show.
We've got to pack as much in as we can.
And Tyler is in a new romance. So what else was Matt gonna do? Jeremy stops being a main character halfway
leaves
through.
the show in this episode. Or the one after this. It's like, okay, I guess Enzo is his new frontier. Well, the thing is, he's Enzo's new frontier. Because this is an Enzo storyline, not a Matt one. Matt gets attached into Enzo's storyline.
Insane.
And it's like,
I've been here for 5 seasons. And you...
who's the main character here?
It should have been Lexi.
Why?
Lexi should have come back from the other side.
It should have been Lexi. God. Imagine Lexi adopts him as a little protege. That would be so cute. She'd be sweet on Matt. She'd be like, oh, look at him. A little puppy.
You know?
But instead, we get Enzo using him as a pawn in a plan that makes no sense and changes with every half episode that passes by.
Just Enzo's season 6 Stefan Salvatore tantrum is really all it is. Mm-hmm. It's like, what are you even angry about at this point? Because you keep shifting the goalposts. You keep shifting the reason that you're upset.
And not to hop on that poor Reddit user from the beginning of this episode, but it's like, you're not saying the thing you're actually mad about. You're just making up a bunch of reasons. And if you just said the thing, this would be much easier to contend with. But here we are with a full paragraph. Here we are with 8 episodes of nonsense that goes nowhere.
At the beginning of his thesis, he claimed it's because Stefan has done terrible things but gets love and forgiveness, and I don't get that. And I'm like, okay, the character that you entered this show through is Damon, who is guilty of the same nonsense. Go bother
talk to
him.
him.
I don't understand.
Go talk to your actual friend.
Or if you want to be on this crusade, go to New Orleans. There's a family of people there who've done heinous things, but will always receive love and forgiveness.
Yep.
Why are you here?
Why are you here is always going to be the bottom line of Enzo St. John. So shall we recount the nonsense that he gets up to in this? Nothing about it is about Matt is the thing. It's always going to be about how insane Enzo's being. I feel remiss to even go through this shit.
I mean, we can just skip to the next Matt thing there.
Okay.
Go listen to the Enzo episode, guys.
Go listen to the Enzo episode for a full rundown and in-depth. But Enzo ropes Matt into chasing after the real Sarah Salvatore, whom he finds at Duke University, because he's stalked Stefan and Caroline all the way there. He gets Matt to pretend to be a potential attendee at the school and chat Sarah up and get a gauge of who she is. He then puts him into a weird honeypot situation where he steals his jacket and wallet on a cold autumn or winter day and then be vulnerable on a park bench, and she takes him for some coffee and puts him on a bus, and he's like, well, seems like she's a sweetie, time to corrupt her. Corruption arc. It's like, okay. Then it's a lot of cycling of just him putting Matt in situations regarding Sarah. He threatens Matt's mom in order to get him to do this. Then he threatens Jeremy. Not only threatens him, but has Jeremy somewhere. It's crazy how he was able to do this because Jeremy's a hunter of the 5. But has Jeremy on the floor with his face on the ground with his boot on Jeremy's face, and Jeremy's bleeding from all his orifices. And it's like, what the hell are we doing?
Also, where did Enzo find Kelly Donovan?
I don't know.
Did he just look her up on Facebook?
I don't know how he even knows who Kelly Donovan is.
LinkedIn.
A quick Yellow Pages search, and he found Kelly Donovan and where she is, because apparently she lives in one place. It's like, where are you gonna find her? Whatever.
Exactly. That woman does not have an address.
God. So now he's gonna turn Sarah into this bad person. He orchestrates for Matt to take Sarah to the specific location and then stand in the middle of the road so that Enzo can drive in with his sports car and run into him at full speed. And Matt is bashed by this car, rolls over, it hits the ground, is dying because his ribs have been fractured and now his lungs are bleeding. And then Enzo comes in acting like he's a bystander and be like, oh my God, what happened? And it's like, oh, what the hell is going on here? Then he has Matt call... Yeah, this was this episode. He has Matt call Sarah into the Mystic Grill to come do a photography thingy because she's a photographer to shoot it up for some sort of article or something. And she's like, I need the money for sure.
Oh, how does Matt survive the being hit by a whole road vehicle?
Enzo then feeds Matt because the whole point of this was that he could feed Matt his vampire blood and reveal to Sarah that he's a vampire. Ooh, the supernatural exists. And now I'm going to lure you in, which is a flop because later when he finds Sarah and he tries to wow her by being like, I'm a vampire,
yes.
she's like, is that it? And he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, I thought there'd be more. It's like, oop. And then Caroline has to tell him it's because Caroline in her no humanity era figures out, oh, Stefan probably compelled her to not care about vampires so that losers like you wouldn't mess up her life.
He compelled her to be a Twilight hater who was like, ugh, vampire romance.
And you know what's so real? He's at Liz's funeral, so that's something. And yeah, they all sort of mourn Liz, so he's there for that. I mean, I'm not sure there's much more to say on that.
Maybe if Matt had been the one hugging her at the end of the day and not Elena, she wouldn't have flipped her humanity switch. A hug from Elena is not the same. Elena hugged her and Caroline was like, actually, unlike Matt when Vicky died, your hugs don't fix anything, Elena. Snaps her neck and turns off her emotions.
That's funny. Oh, God. So then, in Caroline's No Humanity era, as you mentioned, which happened shortly, Matt and Tyler get trapped in a situation.
The ex-boyfriends.
Where Caroline is like, you both have dated me, so it's time to answer some trivia to prove that you knew me well. And they both do answer their respective questions correctly, because Maddie, like Tyler, was a good boyfriend. Sorry. That's not super important. I think Matt's the one who gets, like, stabbed with something, and then they have to go save him. Oh no, I lied. It is important. Because while they're trying to escape, Matt gets injured by a shard of wood. I say injured. Someone stabs him with a shard of wood. I can't remember if it's Caroline or Stefan. Who comes to their rescue when the No Humanities are getting up to some bullshit?
I know Caroline runs away and injures Stefan to give herself a head start.
Then it is Damon. It's Damon and Elena who rock up with Lily Salvatore fresh from the prison world.
Gosh, a lot happens in season 6.
That's what I'm saying. When you just follow the Matt train, all the plot flies by. Matt is injured, Stefan's injured. Lily's dealing with Stefan. Elena runs up to Matt and says, Matt, you're injured, let me heal you, and goes to bite her wrist to feed her vampire blood, and Matt refuses.
Wild.
Matt says, I don't want the vampire blood, take me to the hospital. That, at the very least, is finally, after half the Enzo bullshit that has happened this season, threading back to those early instances of the, like, shift he's been making with the vampire perspective of the Monique situation, of Trip, of Enzo, of Stefan, and now Caroline even, because it's like Caroline, one of his closest friends, all it takes is for a tragic thing to happen and for her to switch off her humanity, for her to become a monster who wants him dead. And it's like, well, if that's the case, then none of this shit means anything, right? As much as all of you guys are my friends, you're all still vampires. So even you, Elena, wants to help me with vampire blood. I can't accept that, because I need to start sticking to my principles. And he says, take me to a hospital.
Which I can respect. Him saying, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I don't want your fix-it-all blood. If I'm going to say that your existence is kind of... it would be unfair of me to then enjoy the perks.
I can't take the good if I denigrate the bad. Exactly.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I think either season 4 or at some point previously, Matt had denied vampire blood again. But at that point, the reason he gives is, oh, people in this town have a habit of becoming vampires. So he was just thinking, pragmatically, if it's not a life-threatening injury, let me not take the blood, lest I be suffocated by caffeine beers or something. And suddenly I'm the newest vampire.
That's funny. But yeah, this is like a culmination of that in Matt deciding, okay, no, I'm not about this shit anymore. After that, he helps Bonnie with the scheme regarding Lily Salvatore because they're trying to steal the Ascendant. There's a moment after he sees Enzo and Lily having a little chat together and he's like, how do y'all know each other? And he's like, actually, none of my business. And then leaves and goes to the bathroom. And then he removes his shirt while he's looking in the mirror and the wound from the stabbing is still there patched over and he's been stitched up. And he just kind of has a little centering breathing moment. And then moves on. Which is nice. It is a nice little moment to give him, despite us not doing anything with this storyline, right? It's this is the price of I'm choosing to distance myself from the vampire stuff. It's well, when the vampire stuff catches up to you, this is what you have to deal with. And he's like, All right.
It's funny. It's slipping into the Bill Forbes territory.
Exactly.
Where Bill was also very anti-vampire, had his neck ripped open by Damon at one point, and Caroline was like, "Let me heal you, Daddy," and he's like, "I'm fine, thank you." She's like, and she has to be like, "Grow up," and force feed him the blood.
Neck entirely torn open, being like, "Nah, I'm good. Don't worry about it." And it's like, for as much as that's an insane thing to say, it's like, hey, you're sticking to your principles. That is something I will respect. It's the Bill Forbes, the Trip Cook, the Matt Donovan. I was like, I'm interested in seeing a Matt Donovan who occupies that space. But, you know, he'd have to be important for that to happen. And they never elevate him to a station of importance. After that, he's at the bachelor party. And that's like, okay. Are him and Rick tight like that? All right.
My old history teacher, Rick.
You know?
We've
Why
been
the
through a
hell
lot
not?
together. I'm like, Rick, I wish you had some other friends so that these, you know, 2 20-year-old boys and Damon. And is Stefan there, I think?
I think. It's like, I wish these weren't your entire groom party, you know? But he has a very interesting chat with Rick, and it's interesting that it's Rick since we brought him up from season 3, having this kind of storyline going on for him where he goes, hey man, all of our friends are killers. That's just the fact of the matter. That's the reality. You found something nice with Joe, because as we know, this season, Rick and Joe fall in love and are getting married. You are pregnant with little babies. The minute you guys have signed that paper, get the hell out of this town. Go somewhere else. Live a normal life. Because y'all are not going to be safe here. Get out of the vortex that is Mystic Falls, Virginia.
Even the Michelsons managed to do it.
You know? And if they had listened to Matt Donovan, if they had foregone this big old ceremony and just signed at Home Affairs and left town, then they would have been fine.
Always too late. That's the thing in this show. You're always too late doing the thing you're doing, whether it's killing linked originals or driving someone over a mystical town border that sucks the magic out of their vampire body. Or running away to go and live this life. Who else was it? Anna and Pearl in season 1. Pearl was like, too many people know the truth here. Let's leave. Anna was like, I don't really want to, but I'm going to first go say goodbye to Jeremy and then I'll leave. Comes home. Oh, Mom and Harper are dead already. Too late.
Texting from the car, babe. You're already causing too much time. The minute you said I need to say bye to Jeremy, you killed your mom. I'm so sorry, girl. That's crazy.
And then Anna herself was like, Jeremy, I'm leaving town on my own. You can come with me. Here's my vampire blood. You could become a vampire and we can be together forever. Dies
You're
by
dead.
the end of that season.
Never dally. Not in this town. At the wedding, Matt and Barney are together at the Salvatore house because Lily is imprisoned there and Barney is taking special care to watch over her because she's trying to use the Ascendant to bring her family of heretics out of the prison world. The two of them are watching over Lily. When they check Lily's cell, she's gone for whatever reason. They're like, hello? What the hell? And then they both start choking and they collapse and they're unconscious. When Matt comes back, he goes over to Barney to wake her up and she's like, I know who it was. And at that point, I didn't know who it was because I'd forgotten about that man. Then in the last episode, they find that camcorder that Barney has had since the prison world and see that Kai recorded a little video in there to be like, haha, it was me. And wait till you see what I did to your little bestie.
It was me, Barry.
It was me, buddy. That's funny because he was in the Arrowverse.
He was.
Yeah, he tells them that he has linked Bonnie and Elena's lives through the Sleeping Beauty curse. And so long as Bonnie is alive, Elena will be asleep. So you can die, Bonnie, and have your best friend wake up. Or you can live the rest of your mortal life and then die, never seeing her again. Well, either way, you never see her again, but you know how it goes. And so everyone then get together in Elena's coffin room as Stefan helps them go into her mind and have a last final goodbye with her before they pack her away forever. And Matt's specific moment with Elena is on Wickery Bridge. It's the same spot from season 3 where he eulogized her with those yellow flowers. And in this mindscape, she has envisioned him wearing a police uniform and is like, this is what I see for your future.
Oh, it's her
Crazy.
fault?
Yeah. Elena planted the seed in his mind.
Wait,
that
just
he needed to become
as a pause. I don't know if you've been seeing the clip going around of Ice Cube from that terrible movie that I recently informed you of.
Seeing it go around, you put it in the comments of my tweets.
Oh, I did. Yes,
I've seen the clip. It was you.
So that's my reaction to finding out Elena planted the seed. It's you. Now I'm thinking of Elena saying, "It was me, Barry. I
Staring
planted
at you.
the seed in Matt's mind
Elena staring
when
at
we
you.
were sharing a psychic space. I pushed him towards becoming a cop."
She looks at him as he looks down at his own body, surprised to see what he's dressed in, and he's like, "What's this?" And she's like, "This is what I picture for your future, protecting our town." And it's like, girl, just picture him with a rifle in his hand. Why is everyone so afraid of just giving Matt a gun? Why does he need to become a cop for this to happen? Concerning.
Mind you, it's Mystic Falls, where the town has had many protectors who weren't cops. The only cop who ever had a name was Liz.
Right.
But the town has had John Gilbert, Pastor Young, Alaric Saltzman, 2 Mayor Lockwoods. Like, why?
Why does he need to? And the thing is, it's like, I'm not saying there doesn't need to be a new sheriff holding this shit down, because now that Liz is dead, the floodgates are open. That woman was holding this shit together. For the Haven heads out there, like Chief Garland War knows, she was holding the town together. But why isn't this a desire of Matt's that he has right after Liz dies? Going, now that Liz is gone, being the only vanguard for the people in this town, I feel motivated, especially given recent events, to take up that mantle. I need to do what she did. I need to work my way so that that position is filled by somebody who's aware of the supernatural and can actually get shit done. Why not give Matt that moment? Rather than this? Why does it need to be something? Why would Elena perceive this for him? It's purely a narrative requirement, right? Because next season we need to set Matt up to be the sheriff of the town. Only to then take it away from him, but that's
Has
another
Elena
story.
said 10 words to Matt this season?
Thank you.
Because I don't even know. It's not even like she's watched his trajectory as,
Right.
like, you know, being part of Tripp's little protection group.
Right. She was stunned to see him refuse her blood. She was like, girl, and what are you going to do about that wound in your gut? Like, why would she know? She's been with Delana the whole season. This is the only season where that Reddit poster is correct. They've barely been friends this season. And that's, you know, just how it is.
With Damon, you mean? She's been with Damon this season.
What did I say?
I think you said she's been with Elena this season.
She's been with David this season.
She's been with herself. We could only hope.
And you know
we
what?
could only wish.
I wish she could be with herself and just really figure shit out before she attaches herself to that man.
She spent more time with Liam than Matt this season.
For you to say that means so much, right? Like, that's what tells you. Anyway, Elena wants Matt to be a cop, and so Matt's gonna be a cop. But they have a cute little goodbye. He brings up, like, hey, I'm a Southern American white man who's now going into law enforcement. My life expectancy just halved. So it's very likely we will not see each other again. And she says something very sweet. She says, after everything we've been through together, I like our odds that we'll beat this one too.
That was sweet.
It is very sweet. It is wild that she is saying, no, I think Bonnie will die before you and then we'll find each other. Which is like,
listen, listen, statistically speaking, and I'm not speaking about like general demographics, I mean specifically between Bonnie and Matt, Bonnie has died like thrice.
you're so right. She was like, this bitch gonna die the 4th time in like a couple weeks. Don't stress yourself about it.
Elena was like, Matt, I'm gonna hold your hand when I tell you this. It won't be long now.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. She might be dead in the other room and you don't even know. We might be okay in a couple minutes. But yeah. Other than that, the only other scene is in that last bit of season 6 where strangely they flash forward into the future and they show Damon standing on the clock tower like Batman. But Matt is in a police car as, well, it's not clear if he's the sheriff or if he's just a police officer, but he is patrolling what looks like Gotham, right? That really is the implication of that ending season 6 scene.
Gotham as a
is that
small
Mystic
town.
Falls has suddenly become Gotham. Yes. So that's where we leave Matt for season 6.
Not his best season, even as, support.
Really not. So much time is taken up by Enzo.
Yes,
It's
like
awful
why
and
is
embarrassing.
why Enzo?
The entire middle season's taken up by Enzo, and it's like, what's this?
And he's not even in the B plot because this season has so many plots.
Right.
It's
You
Kai,
want to
it's-
talk about... Yeah, go on.
It's Kai, it's Gemini family drama, which involves Luke and Liv. It's also Joe and Alaric, and Joe getting pregnant, and it's Steroline sort of starting to bloom. It's Tyler and Liv. It's so much.
You want to talk about a season with so many disparate plots where there's barely like a main propulsive story. Like really in the middle there, people were just doing stuff.
Oh, and also whatever Delena was up to this season, which we rarely care about or remember.
Lord knows I have no idea.
Oh my gosh, it's Lily Salvatore because of 2 No Humanity arcs that we go through for Stefan and Caroline. It's Bonnie's PTSD. It's so much.
You know what I've always said of the back half? This is the strongest season. That is not a win by any stretch of the imagination. It's like being the nicest conservative, It's like, where was the bar in that decision?
Truly, I think, after Trip dies,
Jesus.
Matt just becomes sort of like he floats around the Sarah of it all, Sarah/Monique, but that's more about Stefan and wildly Enzo than it is about Matt.
And then... I don't know. And it's like the groundwork for this thing for him was so... I guess it spills over into season 7, but by then it's in a way that's like there's no way you could argue, yay, Matt, anti-vampire guy. Because, well, we'll get into it. But like within the season, they don't do much with it. They really don't, and it sucks. But I guess at least in that back half, he makes that principled stance, and that's his, like, climax of his arc, I guess. I don't know. To be very clear, and we've made it very clear, is that, like, we agree that Matt doesn't do much. It's just that when I say that, it's me being mad that why aren't we giving him more to do as a main character? Enzo's dancing around the story like nobody's business.
Enzo gets to waste time hating Stefan for half the season, and then he's rewarded with a Lily plotline.
Yep.
What?
Yep, for fun. As a treat. Truly out of nowhere, retconned in, he's Lily's boy toy now.
A plotline that shouldn't even be about him. It's about Damon and Stefan, and then it's like, Lily's surrogate son, Enzo, which we then retcon into, no, Lily's unrequited crush,
right.
Enzo, in season 7.
And you truly are just like, where's Matt in all of this, guys? Jeremy's gone. Listen, Tyler's also at this point barely a character. After this, he's no longer a main character.
Yeah.
So he's also in the
Tyler's,
mix. But at least Tyler had a couple days in the sun.
Tyler, a main character, becomes a supporting character in Liv and Luke's storyline.
In Liv's storyline!
Where it's like, I'm the person in your corner saying, I don't want you to die just for the sake of making sure Kai doesn't get access to this power because we know you'll lose if you do the merge with Luke.
It's so wild. It's like, who was trying with these boys? At least Jeremy gets shuffled off, I guess. We can be so thankful that they go, well, get rid of one. We can't have all 3 of them occupying the same space. One of them has to go.
Jeremy gets shuffled off and I guess has to break up with Bonnie long distance because she comes back right after he leaves and is like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So I can't be with you.
Sure.
And that's how their relationship ends. And I'm like, I think Jeremy would understand your trauma. He lost 2 girlfriends when he was 16. He died and came back to life as well.
Right.
Twice.
If anyone's gonna get what you're going through, and Lord knows any sort of logic would be once she's processed that and she's in a season 7 era, call up Jeremy and be like, what are you up to, dude? Let's get lunch. In a good place. Let's chat. How have you been hunting? Has it been going well? I like what you're doing over there. And it's like, we meet after some time. I'm a big fan of a pair where, like, it was a good match, it just wasn't the right time. And then later in life, they find each other again and it works out. I like that vibe when it's done well. And I feel like that could have been Bonnie and Jeremy thing.
Right person, wrong time.
Exactly. But, I guess he wasn't hot enough or something. I don't know.
I mean, we
don't know.
We have the power to make Tyler and Vicky walk off into the distance in peace at the end of season 8. And I'm like, huh? Right person, wrong time.
Why not? They're in peace together. Congrats to them. Maybe just chill.
It's like in peace platonically,
Yeah,
or like what's happening?
We're a queer platonic band. We just, live in our heaven house and we hang out. It's
He's like,
cute.
I was a year younger than her.
We found we were far better as friends than in a relationship,
We were teenagers. I was a privileged who hadn't gone through my werewolf arc yet, and then she died. I had to grow up a bit and then die myself in order to get to a place.
And now we've met each other in a mature and settled place, and we found we actually have a lot in common, and we're just gonna chill. And I love that for them. Where's Matt in that? Where's Matt in anything?
Oh, Matty Blue. Couldn't someone compel him into medical school? You want to talk about people who need replacing?
Right.
Meredith Fell, who canonically has left town by season 6.
Let him be a doctor in town. Elena's not there to do it. She's asleep. So somebody's gonna pull the weight. God damn.
Oh, Maddie.
Season 7 for Matt Donovan. A season that doesn't bring good tidings for most characters, but for Matt especially. And I think when we left off season 6, we were talking about the build of Matt shifting into the position of anti-vampire, right? With all the things that occurred. And as I mentioned before, that does spill over into season 7, but in a way that I feel was never going to... Nobody was interested in scaffolding this argument in any genuine way. You'll see what I mean by the end of this season's discussion, but I cannot.
It seems you cannot.
I cannot. The thought will thread itself by the end of it, so let's just jump into it. So, keep in mind, season 7 is the year of the time jump, so we'll be hopping back and forth from past to future in this one. Take a breath. Brace yourself and let's jump in. Matt is done with his police training because we all know that takes 3 months in the United States. So he is about to be sworn in as a deputy.
I mean, you joke, but probably.
That is genuinely, it's like a couple of months of basic training, and he's now going to be a deputy in Mystic Falls. Oh, for context, the heretics are here at this point. You know the deal. It's season 7. Lily and the heretics are here. Enzo's still here inexplicably. Elena's asleep. A Eurotrip is happening, and Caroline and Stefan are holding the fort. They are planning to blow the heretics up with a bomb, so Matt assists Caroline in Trojan horsing the bomb there.
I'm just imagining.
While Caroline...
Imagine this was your first episode of Vampire Diaries. This is how you come in. The series lead is in a coma.
Right.
And will continue to be.
For the rest of the show.
Some of the characters are in Europe. Mm-hmm. Some of the other characters are building a bomb.
Mm-hmm. And you're just like, what?
Like, wait, the vampires are building a bomb?
Why would they need to? They're vampires. Oh, it's for vampire witch hybrids that they're weaker than? Interesting. Lot going on here. So while Caroline is putting on her best performance to the wicked lesbians, Mary Lou and Nora, Matt sneaks in the back door and plants this bomb that Stefan has built using Rick's expertise in explosives, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Arms the bomb, Caroline and him vamp speed out of there, and then the bomb blows up.
Was it just me reading like leftover chemistry, or were they like pretending to be a couple? I don't think they say anything like coupley, but it felt like...
I don't think Matt's in the scene. Oh, he does, I think, circle back once the bomb's been planted.
And he's like, we have to get going to that thing.
We're going to that thing. I'll be honest, I didn't think about it.
Oh, maybe that's on me. Maybe I just saw a cis man and a cis woman, and I was like, maybe I need to reflect on my sins.
Certainly for the espionage, it's possible. I just don't remember that interaction very well, and I did not rewatch it for this. I'll tell you that much. So
it's fine. We've covered it multiple times.
We've covered the plot multiple times. I don't think we've covered Matt in these last 2 seasons ever at all, and it's going to prove quite difficult for me to remember. So at some point, I'm going to open the wiki, and listener, you're going to have some grace because I know you don't remember
that flawed
wiki. Oh, we're gonna get there.
We might say one or two things that are just completely untrue because the wiki can just be wrong sometimes.
And if it strikes off and you in your heart are like, that doesn't sound right, you're probably correct. We're all investigators today trying to suss out the truth. So they speed away, the bomb explodes, they assume the heretics are dead. They then go off to this police graduation, no harm, no foul. Lily, of course, gives Stefan gives Lily the call to brag, and Lily's like, honey, who do you think my children are?
She said, I'm gonna hold your hand when I tell you this.
Do you think a man-made bomb is going to kill which vampire hybrids that had to be trapped in a prison world to be dealt with? Please reflect. So they show up at the graduation, they cast a spell, and they explode the spot, and then they start feeding on everyone in a frenzy, and they slaughter Matt's entire graduating class. Except for him, I believe, because Caroline shows up to protect him. I think also the sheriff of the time was killed, because he was the one presenting the graduation stuff. I think they get him too. Entire police force of Mystic Falls gone in one afternoon. And you know what?
So there was a sheriff. He died in that episode. Sheriff? And when a new Supreme starts to wane, when an old Supreme starts to wane, the new one rises,
claiming his power and his station. He is officially inducted as a deputy, though, so even though that guy's dead, it holds, I promise. I think they signed the document. Thereafter, after Lily manages to allay some sense of peace following this disaster, and everyone goes their separate ways, they strike the truce, which is evacuating the entire town and letting the heretics move in, and the Mystic Falls gang is now dedicated to keeping the surroundings of Mystic Falls safe. Part of that is Matt, as the only remaining cop in town, walking around with a gun at night, making sure people don't come to this town.
I guess there it is. If you're the only cop in town, you must be the sheriff.
Yes. Purely by process of elimination, by right of divine rule, all other people in line for the throne are dead. He is the only one remaining.
It's like
to hold this position.
It's like when Professor X was the only teacher in the X Mansion, but he's also the principal. And who's gonna contest that?
So the thing is, I don't think he gets officially named sheriff until the end of the show. So he is a deputy in this time, but with no sheriff, I think at least interim speaking, he is the sheriff.
He's the sheriff functionally. Also, so the heretics...
Yes.
I mean, I can't dwell on it every time, but it's just... So the heretics and Lily stay in this ghost town that everyone has been evacuated. Why would you want to stay in a town that no one else lives in? You were in a prison world for a century. Isn't this traumatizing? Isn't this triggering?
So... I believe an aspect of it is Lily trying to prove something to her abusive husband, who, Lily, the man is dead, live your life. Do not live in reaction to him. That's just my 2 cents. I think also in this moment, they're still trying to get Julian back. So they need to access the stone and keep track of his body, which is around too. So there are some reasons.
Frankly, if I was Nora or Mary Lou, and I had been a lesbian in the 1900s, and I woke up in 2010's United States with all the freedoms that I now have as a queer person and as a woman, I'd be like, screw this town. I'm gonna go live my life. I'm gonna go have fun.
What am I doing in this
I'm gonna go to a lesbian bar.
South town, right? Let me go to all the capitals of lesbianism.
Let me go to a pride parade. I mean, come on.
You know... Let me go to their quarter of Fire Island, which I'm somewhat certain exists. Margaret Cho was in that movie, so they must be there. Wild choices all around. I agree with you. I'm just trying to find some sense in it. So, yeah, Matt's watching over the town, and then once Damon, Bonnie, and Rick come back from the Euro trip, they kill Malcolm, and then restart all this drama all over again.
If you guys are wondering who Malcolm is, go listen to our other episodes, please.
Go figure it out. There's a breadcrumb trail for you, Hansel and Gretel. Because of this rivalry with the heretics starting up again, they kidnap Caroline And because the heretics move into the Salvatore home as part of this deal, they get a human person to come live there as their familiar. They do the trick of, we sign this house over to the human so that the threshold spell resets and no vampires can enter without being invited in. So Stefan's attempt at saving Caroline is thwarted in that manner.
And this time I remember that she is neither Mrs. Flowers nor Miss Gibbons.
That's correct. She's an entirely secret third older woman who is present to be a human familiar. I remember the last time we spoke about it, I looked up Miss Flowers from the books, and I think she was a witch of some kind.
Oh.
And I'd forgotten that, so that was cool. She had a more than meets the eye thing going on. The proprietor of that boarding house.
I don't think we ever see her on screen in season 2. Catherine's just staying at her house.
No.
If she was a witch, I'd be like, oh no, is it another black person in Catherine's employ?
Listen, if they... now is not the time. Go back to the witch episode to get into witchcraft and the intersection of race and femininity. To get around this threshold spell, well, how do they do that? Do they sign it over to Matt? How would they even do that? Editing Sandile here, who has had the time to rewatch these episodes like a consummate professional that I am not, and in a little bit of form and content for this time jumping season 7, I am correcting some mistakes from my past for your benefit in my future. On the matter of Matt's ownership of the Salvatore house, the heretics apparently compelled Matt to sign the deed of ownership and then to forget he'd done that, and then to never sign it over to anyone else. And by the rules of compulsion in this show, another vampire would not be able to overwrite that compulsion. The matter of not Mrs. Flowers happens after they kill Matt to get into the house, which they did as a backup for if the Mystic Falls gang was able to get to Matt. If that sounds more complicated than what we thought happened, you're correct. And now you can have the fun of listening to us trying to figure it out. Expect to hear from me at least 2 more times before the discussion is over. Back to the show.
I guess they just found the deed somewhere and then signed it over to him.
But then wouldn't the heretics have the deed? Because they used that to sign it over to this human lady?
Maybe they left it in like Home Affairs or whatever the equivalent is in Mystic
They
Falls.
stole it from the DMV, ? And then they signed it over to Matt.
I think the DMV is for cars, specifically for motor vehicles.
I don't know how that country works. DHV, DHP. Department of Human People. So
that sounds like something a bunch of aliens
right.
trying to infiltrate society would set up. Like, yeah, I'm a Homo sapien. I work in the Department of Human People.
I drink water through the hole in my face as a human would, staring nervously. Thereafter, in like a little bit of a callback to a season 3 moment, Bonnie has to stop Matt's heart, clinically killing him so that his ownership of the house is null and void and the Salvatores can then enter the home. And it should be a no issue, but the thing is, there's this thing in play right now called the Phoenix Stone that Rick has asked Bonnie to look at, and it gave her horrid visions, and she told him to destroy it, and like a man, he failed her. And now she's been getting these haunting visions every so often. And right as in the like 20-second window that she's meant to keep Matt dead without like damaging his brain or internal organs, she gets those visions and they knock her out for like 5 minutes or something. And they're just out on the front porch of someone's house and he's just like lying dead, and she wakes up, she's like, oh shit, and then she goes to revive Matt. And Matt wakes up and he looks at the counter on the phone and goes, Bonnie, what the hell?
Because I think he had asked, how long can my heart be stopped? And Bonnie was like, oh, about like 7 minutes before like permanent brain damage sets in. But she's like, but it's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna stop your heart for like 10 seconds so Stefan can get in. So when Matt wakes up, he's like, pretty long 10 seconds, boss.
Because this whole shit is self-fulfilling prophecy for Matt, who said at the beginning of this interaction with Bonnie that, like, I'm putting my life on the line for these vampires who like don't give a shit and like are the reason we're in this mess. And Bonnie's like, they're our friends, Matt. We gotta do it. Which crazy from Bonnie in this era, but fair enough. And so this is just proof positive.
It's Caroline.
Right, that's what she says. It's Caroline. But like Matt's coming off that interaction in season 6 of like, even Caroline, one single tragedy is all it takes for Caroline to immediately then be at her worst and be a danger to them. So it's like, what are we doing here?
Matt said we can be friends. I don't support your lifestyle, though.
I don't support your lifestyle, but we can still be civil, you know? Our politics may differ, but that doesn't mean we can't be friends.
I love the bloodsucker, hate the bloodlust.
And we joke, but it's like when there's a material threat, that's a very fair stance to hold. Like the thing I say about why specifically in this show, the way they try to tie vampirism into minority allegory doesn't work is that they try to use the blood-sucking and the bloodlust of it all as the allegory. It's like, that doesn't really work because vampires are a threat to humans and on average kill and eat humans. So it's like, I think we need some more nuance with this. But regardless, this happens, and it's just another in the pocket of reasons why Matt is like, actually screw this vampire shit, because I'm tired. So yeah, after that, it's again trying to keep people safe from the heretics. There's a tour bus that comes in because Mystic Falls is a ghost town now, and he's like, you fools, you idiots, get out of here, or I'll have you all arrested by like the county police or whatever, because there's like other police nearby, just not in Mystic Falls. There's the Oscar stuff. Well, not Oscar, it's that vampire that they put in Oscar using the Phoenix Stone who just like eats everybody, but that's not important to Matt. What happens after that? Oh god, already? Oof. Oh, Matt starts finding like vampire farms in town. That's a thing. Like human farms, sorry.
Oh, yes, the compelled people who
Yes.
are like donating blood.
Yes, he starts finding masses of people in specific locations or like compelled to be in place and hooked up to IVs being drained of blood. And it's like, what the hell is going on here? And I can never remember if that ever resolves properly.
Same.
But I think Julian was doing it because Julian's back at this point. I think
it had something to do with Julian. I also can't remember if he's back at this point. But I also, every time I get there during a rewatch, I'm like, oh yeah, what was this about?
What was this about? Because it never, I don't know. But that happens. In the midst of that, because at one point he finds a human farm with Bonnie and is like, oh, why are you working with Enzo? Because this is the era where Bonnie starts working with Enzo. And then in a separate human farm at the grill that encounters with Caroline, who he is with when Caroline is beginning to discover that she is pregnante. So there you go. At some point now, having confirmed Caroline's pregnant, this is the point where she's writing in that diary to Elena about her pregnancy and her mom being dead, and like that's the person she would have spoken to, etc., etc. Matt calls up and is like, hey, I'm still on this case about the missing people and about the human farms. Can you help me with that? I think it has to do with Julian. And she's like, actually, I am indeed pregnant, so I don't know if I can super commit my time to that right now. And Matt's like, okay, how's Stefan feeling about that? And she's like, haven't told him really. So that ends there. He then goes into the grill and at this point runs into Enzo. This is the episode in which they've gotten Lily to see the light about Julian, the Salvatore brothers, and now they're hatching a plan to like separate them and like get rid of Julian. Enzo is in a drunken stupor because Lily, I guess, is going to be in danger in this plan, and yet he's making no efforts to go and like contribute so that doesn't happen. He's just drinking at a bar. Who knows? They've just shared a passionate kiss and he's like, come away with me, leave this behind, your sons can take care of it. An Enzo thing to do. And she's like, no, I can't just cut and run. This mess is my fault. I need to see it to the end. And so then he immediately went to the grill to drink his kidneys out. Not kidneys, liver. Liver? Yeah, that's one that processes alcohol. But kidneys also do filtration, I think. Listen, bio is not my STEM.
The kidneys do indeed do filtration, but I think the liver is what gets affected by excessive alcohol.
Thank you very much. Matt runs up on Enzo. Again, Enzo, who has been nothing but a menace to this boy. finds Enzo drinking blood from this girl in the grill and is like, what the hell's wrong with you? He gets the girl away from Enzo. Enzo, whose like fight is not really in it, and he convinces the girl to run off and go away. He's like, what are you even still doing here? Why do I have to like be engaging with you in this abandoned town? Like, what are you still doing here, Enzo St. John?
He's so us.
Nobody will ever want you in Mystic Falls. Not Damon, not Lily, nobody. So what's the point in staying here?
He is us.
He's absolutely us, because he's right. What is this? Enzo, firing back, is like, oh, you're one to talk with the heretics running roughshod all over this place, and what are you gonna do to stop them? A human boy with a gun. And it's like, I've said this before, you're making Matt sound like the biggest badass ever, just with his shotgun rolling around town, facing this insurmountable threat by himself. I think that makes him sound pretty cool. But hey, if that's an insult, Mr. Lorenzo, by all means. Enzo decides to leave because I guess he's bored, heads out the back door, and this is the moment when people in like tactical uniforms start emerging out of nowhere. This unmarked van pulls up, he gets shot up with vervain darts, Enzo does, and then these people show up and like restrain him and throw him into the back of the truck. Matt shows up as they open up the back of the truck, and he's all, haha, yes, it was me. It was me, Enzo.
It was me, Enzo. I took to heart when you said I couldn't do it all alone.
Exactly that.
I called the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I've got some friends in high places, and they, for whatever reason, are interested in you. Take them away, boys. Closes the van. And you know what? Huge dub for Matt. I think he absolutely deserved this moment. He is a vampire who has been hassling Matt nonstop.
And thank you, Matt, because Enzo is, I think, gone for like a few episodes, or at least an episode or two.
4 episodes.
4 episodes! Oh, what a relief.
Quite a bit. A brief and breezy 4 episodes of just like not needing to worry about where the hell is Enzo. And I thought he was gone. I thought he was gone forever. I was like, this is the smartest way to write him out after this Lily shit without killing him, so that it's like, maybe by the end we'll bring him back just to be like, he's fine, don't worry, Enzo girlies, I guess, who we are concerned about as a demographic.
I think the first time I watched it, I didn't think he was gone. I just kind of forgot about him, which really says something
Fair.
about his place in the story. I was busy having to work through this Julian saga that was never ending, and I was like, TVD, you have this habit of introducing antagonists who take way too long to be defeated or killed. It made sense with the originals, who are 1,000-year-old immortals, but we can't do this every time. Julian is like, what, 300? 500? I was like, kill this man.
450 or something, I think, yeah.
Younger than Catherine Pierce. I was like, please, get rid of him.
And I appreciate the power scaling perspective, me from the perspective of just replacing one irrelevant British villain with another, I don't care for it. You've given me the same problem all over again. I don't know, man. Yeah, he's there for the Phoenix Stone stuff because Stefan and Damon get put in the Phoenix Stone and Bonnie's trying to get them out. And Matt, of course, as a good friend, is being concerned about their well-being. Oh, sorry. I'm like, we're already at episode 10. It hasn't come up. In the flash forwards, which we're aware of the 3-year time jump, there is this mysterious figure chasing after Stefan. Damon has been embroiled after being asleep in a coffin for 3 years. Rick gets roped in because Caroline has been kidnapped on live Dallas, Texas news, and he and Caroline are engaged. Surprise. And so there's all this shit going on. And we come to learn when they get to the station, because Damon suddenly gets shot up by vervain darts in the back, we see Matt approach with a vervain dart gun, looking like something out of a My Chemical Romance video, an edgy post-apocalyptic movie. It looks like he's got like mascara under his eye, his hair is in a swoopy fringe, he's wearing like dark clothes now, and he's got a gun. That's something about the season, I'll say. They finally give Matt a gun in every single bloody scene, and I'm chuffed to see it.
I mean, it figures, since this is basically our season of Days of Future Past.
You're so right. He's in the torrid future of the Sentinel Hells, of the camps of mutants, but he's on the side of the Sentinels, I guess. Which is my issue with this storyline, right? Is that Matt becomes an antagonist sans context, or at least sans immediate context. Because when you meet him in the flash forwards, he is working on the side of this mysterious antagonistic figure against the Mystic Falls gang, and it's not super explained why. Like a lot of other storylines in this season, it's giving you this out of context thing and then being like, and now watch the next 15 episodes to figure out how he got there. And it's like, that doesn't super work for me personally, but maybe for most people.
You don't like, you're probably wondering how I got here, but let me start at the beginning.
I think starting in medias res is fun. I think doing it 7 times in the first arc of your show with like all your characters in different places in the medias res is a bit much.
Stefan on the run from a huntress, Damon asleep in a coffin, Caroline kidnapped on live TV, and they're all like, my life is kind of crazy.
That's what I'm saying, is like, in medias res is to establish characters. These are established characters. We've known them for 6 seasons. And the sudden out of context time jump stuff is so different from how you know them that it feels jarring to me. And so I'm just like, and that's probably the intention, but it's just like, I'm never a fan.
Nothing was quite as jarring as finding out that Alaric and Caroline are engaged, and B, that Bonnie and Enzo are a couple.
Yeah. It's like they really did a 1, 2, 3 punch with a number of revelations in these fast forwards that it was never going to be good for me, you know?
If the shadowy antagonist had ended up being who I briefly suspected it was, Elena, I would have found that more believable than some of the other stuff that I saw post-time jump.
I think the only thing that could have saved all this time jump shit is if it was Elena, and it wasn't, and that's a shame because I like Reina, but her only being introduced that late in the game shoots her in the foot. Her being very slightly connected to the characters present in the story also shoots her in the other foot. She's hobbling. My girl is hobbling as an antagonist in the show, and she should be one of the coolest, especially in this season, because she's a juiced up vampire hunter. But here we are. So that's the flash forwards we've been getting for Matt. He's working for, cat's out of the bag, Raina Cruz, we find out later. But it's unclear as to why. Something has happened in between now and 3 years from now, and it has something to do with Stefan. Matt specifically calls out Stefan Salvatore when Caroline asks him, what happened for you to hate us this much, Matt? And Matt's like, ask your friend Stefan Salvatore. And it's like, okay.
I think, oh God. Oh, it's this season. Why did I think that was season 8? Ugh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're here. We're here, baby.
Before we get there, I was just going to say, okay, at the very least, Caroline remains the favorite, the token vampire. I have a vampire friend, because I think he had made a deal to like that she wouldn't be harmed, like to ensure her safety.
Yes.
He was like, the others, they can die, but Caroline's just here as bait, and then I'll let her go, and it's fine. She can run off with Rick and be in that weird marriage. It's okay.
Which valid. He respects her choices. And that's interesting too, because it's like, it puts Matt in a compromised position that is interesting to me if we were interested in interrogating it, of like, okay, this is a principle you're taking, but you're compromising for Caroline because you like Caroline, and because you have a direct vendetta at Stefan, it seems now, because that's the only other one where you're like, well, what does Stefan have to do with it? Damon, on any given day, probably deserves it. Enzo, same rules apply. And there's really not that many other vampires present currently. Julian and his crew, all of them can die. Like, that's the stats right now.
I guess the reason that Caroline is always the favorite is because when it comes to people like Jeremy, Matt, Alaric, all these people becoming disenchanted with vampires, they're like, but we've known Caroline. Certainly for Jeremy and Matt, it's like, we've known her whole life. When she was human, we grew up with her. We have been around her during her vampire era, so we're well aware of all her sins. And just by virtue of being younger than every other vampire, except Elena for a time, her sins are fewer. So it's like, we can excuse what she's done. You know what she is? She's the vampire equivalent of like the palatable gay, the good gay who's not too sexual, gets married, settles down, doesn't wear revealing clothing at pride parades.
No, never. She's campaigning against kink at Pride, because think of the children, my children, who will be riding along with me in my family float. And it's like, Yeah, it tracks why you'd like her.
She's the palatable vampire because she's type A. She got it under control very quickly.
That's true. That's true.
Everyone says she's so good at being a vampire. So they're like, yeah, why? If they were like you're one of the good ones.
You're one of the good ones, Caroline. And to the rest of you, if she can get her shit under control, what's your excuse? But no, exactly. To that point, it's like from the perspective of an absolutist, like, for example, a Bill Forbes or a Trip Cook, it's like you are morally compromised than Matt Donovan for saying, okay, the vampires I deem acceptable or I have connection to don't have to die or don't have to be dealt with. But from the perspective of an anti-vampire character who we want to still have around in the story and thematically be resonant with this group, it's probably a better choice to have Matt do this and be like, yeah, he's not all the way. He's not just like vampires should die and that's the end of the statement. It's like, I am now willing to do what needs to be done with the vampires who don't toe the line. But you, Caroline, who I know and I am aware of your nature typically and your choices that you would make typically, I can make that allowance. And I think that that's a good space for Matt to have been in going forward if we were to engage with this properly and like have Matt be part of the group. But in this moment, he is placed in an antagonistic position because of how things have shaken out.
At least this wasn't listed on that Reddit post among the things that person had issue with. Because I was going to say, if it had been listed, I would have been like, now that's not fair.
Well,
everyone in this show has had a villain era.
Well, we'll get there. After that, there is this really interesting scene, and it ties back to something we mentioned in the first half of the Matt overall discussion. There's an episode, I can't remember if it opens with or if it's just a scene in the episode with Bonnie and Matt at the border of Mystic Falls. And I believe they are dealing with some of Julian's vampires. They've set up like a, what do you call it? That little chain thing you put across the road that has the spikes so in car chases so that the car tires hit it and explode and the car crashes.
Yes, I know what you mean. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, that thing. And as they're waiting for this ambush, I forget whose phone pops off and then they open it. One of them opens it and is like, oh, hey, we matched on this dating site. And I was like, interesting. And they're both like joking about how they've not really had a lot of time to get some while they're in the midst of this life that they're leaving, sort of gestures wildly at everything that's happening around them right now. And I was like, is this a setup? Because it can't be that we're saying this Enzo thing's going to shake out properly. I get that that's 3 years from now, but surely that's going to terminate at some point. We're going to, do something normal. Egg on my face, we didn't. But I was like, even with this, it was like, who was so opposed to the idea of Matt and Bonnie? I feel like it would really work out, especially now in this moment where right after they say this, the cars come in and hit the spikes and they get stopped. Bonnie is throwing magic to Wholesome Fool so that Matt can go pop pop. They're like a tag team knocking out all these vampires effectively because one's got magic and one's got a gun with wooden bullets. And it's like, this is the duo right here. If we're not going to have them be like a romantic pairing, why aren't we pairing them up more often when it comes to dealing with the vampire threats these days? It's my question.
Prom king and queen right there. Didn't even campaign.
Purely on the popular vote, one prom king and queen. Look like absolute badasses genuinely dealing with vampire threats while what are the Salvatores doing? Drinking eggnog? Fighting over Elena once again, who's not even conscious? Like, here are the people who are getting shit done. Here are the people with boots on the ground. And that's all I'm saying. As they're dealing with that, Matt starts to lose control and is just like kicking the shit out of one of these vampires. And Bonnie is like, whoa. Let's keep our head in the game here. But we're starting to see, leading up to the 3-year jump, a Matt that is beginning to fray. Then is the baby shower, strangely in this episode.
Tyler comes back for the baby shower because I guess Rick doesn't have friends.
Yeah, there's no other way to put it.
They're playing a game where they have to change the diaper of like a baby doll. Matt and Tyler are terrible at it because they're boys.
They're boys and they don't know how to deal with babies. Oh no.
I think one, like the diaper ends up on their head. The other one ends up headless. And I was like, oh, come on, guys.
It's like farcical at this point. It's like, all right. Fair enough. Yeah, that's just like a little haha. Oh yeah, there's that altercation with Nora, but like Bonnie and Nora are friends now. He's like, what the hell are you doing at this gathering of my friends? And Nora's like, what are you going to stop me? And then Bonnie's like, hey, let's not get this nonsense. But the thing is, in this altercation, Nora does then use magic to hurt Matt. And Bonnie has to be like, baby, no, please for me. And then Nora stops. But it's like, well, shit, Bonnie, you too are now going to like compromise for these vampires? This is messed up. And Bonnie's like, no, but you know, she came and helped us out afterwards because they helped deliver. No, we haven't gotten to the delivery of Caroline's babies. Why does she like Nora again?
Because I think Nora and Mary Lou have broken up and she's a lot nicer without her. And
she's like, rather she be a friend than an enemy.
Yeah. We here at the pod like to believe that maybe they were teasing gay awakening for Bonnie.
Oh, without question. Without question. And copped out in the end and put her with that man, which...
They copped out and said, they'll say we're being too similar to Buffy if our resident witch is queer.
Again, if that's your concern, then not doing it is erasure. I don't care. But Matt's like, I'll remind you, she's the reason Stefan was in the Phoenix Stone to begin with. So if you're concerned about friends, like, this girlie's a danger. And that's when Nora does the magic and Bonnie, like, calms her down and is like, we just need to keep the peace. And Matt leaves. And I'll say the way the wiki phrases it, with Nora stepping in, Matt felt threatened after only a few harsh words were exchanged and found himself magically choked. So... That wiki is not objective. I do not like the journalistic integrity or lack thereof of whoever manages that wiki. Because I was reading something the other day, and it was about the end of that season 2 episode where Damon has alienated people again. I know that doesn't narrow it down. It's when he's pretend dating Andy. And he's like, oh, Damon, I'm still here. And he's like, I told you to leave. She's like, you didn't compel me. And he's like, oh, Andy, please leave. Like, before I hurt you. She's like, no. He bites her and she runs away scared. The way it's phrased in the wiki, as they describe that scene in like a few sentences, they're like, in a heartbreaking scene at the end of the episode, Damon, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I see you. I mean, we've also discussed the infamous John Gilbert reframing of, to put her out of her misery, to spare her from the pain of the fire,
oh, yes!
He staked Anna. And it's like...
ridiculous.
I'm sorry?
I'm like, he could have dragged her out. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Y'all will cape any
Or he was like,
day.
if you have to die, let me do it quickly. I'm like, no, he wanted the satisfaction of knowing he personally killed her. Like he killed her mother.
Caping any day for a white man because you're going to tell me John Gilbert the younger has fighters? News to me. But okay. So... Matt leaves this baby shower furious, of course, and then drives away. He, I think, near misses somebody and like has to drive off the road. And then a police officer shows up. But she thinks he's drunk and is like, yeah, you're driving drunk. I'm going to have to arrest you. And this has to be outside Mystic Falls because, again, there are no cops in Mystic Falls. I believe this is a county police officer. He's like, don't worry, I'm also a cop. And then he reaches to get his badge and she's like, oi, I will shoot you. I know you're a white man, but I will shoot you. She arrests him before he can prove his identity and throws him in jail. At some point while he's in the jail cell, police officer Officer Penny Aries.
She has a surname?
Aries is her surname. We know it now. She has a whole ass surname.
What?
And I want to give some credit to her today because actually that actress, and I told you this before, Fadzai, she's apparently like a fairly prolific, like rising screenwriter. She's going to be working on some DCU stuff coming up. So I'm like, you go, Miss Noguera. This was not your moment, but you're having your moment now. And that's good for you.
Good for her. Wait, so she arrests Matt even though he's not drunk?
She thinks he's drunk and is lying about it.
Does she not have like a breathalyzer?
Couldn't tell you how it happened step by step. I just remember that's what happened.
Law enforcement.
He needs to be arrested. They need to have a conversation in the jail. Me again, as promised. Turns out Matt was driving drunk, and Penny very rightfully arrested him, as opposed to our assumption of just the perils of law enforcement. Kind of screwed up. Very much claims, oh, I just had a few drinks at a party. Matt, that's against the law. So, egg on my face, again, for trying to invent a more interesting narrative in my head. Back to the show. She didn't even make him do a sobriety test, walk on a straight line, one foot in front of the other. Like, we've seen the
Touch
movies.
your finger to your nose.
We know how it works in the States.
Say the alphabet backwards.
That's tough for me sober, I'll tell you that much.
I've practiced it sober, so I assume I'm at a bit of an advantage if I'm ever asked to do it while drunk. But I would never drive drunk, so that won't happen to me.
And there you go. And that's the correct answer. But they get to talking, and he does say, I am a police officer, I'm from Mystic Falls, and you probably have never heard of it because it's in the middle of nowhere and now it's abandoned. And she's like, oh no, I heard about... Well, no, she wouldn't have heard about it. They would have covered it up. I guess he tells her that all his colleagues died in some mysterious accident.
What he should have said is, I am the police officer. I'm not a police officer. I am the police officer of Mystic Falls.
That would definitely give her more confidence in his sanity, I think, to say he is the only police officer at Mystic Falls. The public story is that there was this great fire that killed all the cops, and it's kind of been left there. It seems Penny, after jailing him, has gone through his truck and found all his weapons
Oh no!
for vampire hunting. And so that's where that one
Matt,
goes.
you just have to be smart. You just say, calm down. I am LARPing. I was on my way to a convention.
Well, so you say that. His story is that, oh no, I confiscated all of these things. Of course, as you remember, I'm an officer. I was cracking down on this survivalist cult. They thought this zombie apocalypse was on the way and they had all this crazy shit. So I snatched it up. And she's like, yeah, I heard about Mystic Falls. All these weirdos are flooding in to see the town and see some spooky things. So that works.
That's believable.
Really believable. Listen, gone are the days of pure himbo Matt. Matt has wisened up in the back half of the show. He's a bit smarter. He's a bit craftier. He's been honeypotting. He has spy experience. He's doing the thing. So Penny lets him go. I'm not really sure how they end up pursuing something following this.
I mean, honestly, you could lie and I'd believe you because I do not remember. Oh, Aries is in the Greek god Aries.
Yes,
I don't know
Aries,
why I was
not
thinking
the
of the star
zodiac.
sign.
So apparently Mystic Falls was going to be razed, R-A-Z-E-D, given whatever they were saying about the town, the public story as to why everyone had to be evacuated. I guess maybe the gas leak to end all gas leaks. And then she tells Matt, oh, I have a friend who was, involved in all that. And as it turns out, they will not be destroying Mystic Falls after all. And then Matt gets suspicious and is like, hey, where does your friend Doug stay? And then they go over to Doug's and he's dead. And he has a neck wound. I guess Matt went there by himself because then Penny shows up armed after him. And then a vampire attacks them. And then they kill it. And that's how Penny learns about the existence of vampires. And it's like, okay, I guess Penny's here now. And now they're vampire hunting. That's really where Matt goes for... I'm trying to think what can I say about that,
Here's a quote, apparently. Penny claims he is different from what she thought he would be, describing him as, quote, cute, a little damaged in a sweet way, and insanely brave, end quote.
I like that. Okay, something to say about Penny. She appreciates Matt in his entirety, which not a lot of people do. So you go, Penny. Wish I remembered anything about this. The Raina Cruz stuff starts setting off. And while that's happening, Matt is starting to download on Penny all the stuff about vampires and about hunting vampires and everything he's been dealing with. When does the time jump happen again? That's Days of Future Past, right?
Oh yeah, there's an episode called Days of Future Past.
Yes, it's very clear and direct what they're referencing. These nerds. There's a flash forward at this point, which Matt finally gets Stefan and then shoots him up full of vervain. And then he goes out into the parking lot and he speaks to a camera and goes, all right, I did it. He's out. I'll never see you again, right? And then we see that it's actually Raina Cruz, who's with Damon at the moment, who has hired Matt. And this is also okay, so then he was working with Reyna as a means to an end, it seems, not in the sense of as a protege. And that kind of sucks. I was like, in my memory, I was like, for a moment that he was a protege of Reyna, but now that I think about it, I don't think he ever actually was, right?
I guess he was taking a leaf out of Catherine Pierce's book, playing all sides, playing people against each other. The bouncing back and forth between the flashbacks and flash forwards and whatnot, it
so
does sometimes make it a
confusing.
bit hard to track what's going on.
Yeah, especially with characters who are on the sidelines of the plot, so I can't even use what's happening in the story at the time to track, was this in the past or in the future. At some point, I think still in the present, he helps Valerie track Reyna Cruz because Stefan's on the run now. He's been marked by the Phoenix Sword. So he uses his cop abilities, I guess, to keep a, what do they call it, an APB on her motorbike. While he's helping them, he has that interesting interaction with Valerie, just being like, it's kind of funny that here we are now. And this all started because you and your friends killed some people in my town, some high schoolers, mind you, and then hassled us for a bunch of time. And now here I am helping you track Stefan. Wild how life works out. Valerie's like, yeah, it is wild. But what's wild is I care for Stefan, so you just need to trust that and shut your mouth about everything else, okay? And he's like, I'm all right. And that's that. So then, and again, I can't remember if this is past or future, but Penny and Matt start going on jogs in Mystic Falls to lure vampires in. And as they're doing that, they're being all flirty. So it's yeah, then this has to be the past because they're not officially together yet. But
Yeah.
it's going that way. This vampire named Crystal was the same one that Damon shags, right? To get over Elena.
Oh yes, didn't Bonnie make fun of her name?
Yes, she has a name that people in the mid 2010s would make fun of. So that's why I'm yeah, I think it's her. They are oh, and we're gonna take you out. And then she's oh, all of us? And then 6 more vampires rock up and it's oh, we've bitten off more than we can chew. And then one by one they get shot in the back by stakes or wooden arrows, and they all fall. I don't know why none of them sped away after the first guy got shot.
This is the thing when you are writing characters with superpowers. Suddenly the plot just needs to go a certain way, and some people aren't good at justifying stuff. So it's yeah, characters with super speed and super reflexes just weren't paying enough attention, I guess.
I guess they were what's that sound?
In the same universe, mind you, where a rabid Damon at the end of season 2 was able to dodge Sheriff Forbes' shotgun and leave Jeremy to get hit.
Well, we want Damon alive, right? So he has to preternaturally avoid all dangers. Who cares about these Julian vampires? Reyna Cruz shows up, shooting all these vampires down and being y'all are small fry. Let me teach you what I know from my 200 years of vampire hunting. And she seemingly by coercion gets them into a nearby cafe or whatever, keeps one vampire alive, is torturing him for more information while giving these lessons to Matt and Penny, being what you have to know about the vampire is that it is beneath you, but it can also be useful. You need to know the weak points and you need to know how to get them to give you what you want, all this stuff about her experience in vampire hunting. And it's okay, interesting position.
Ah, yes. This is when she's looking for Stefan, who Matt doesn't sell out, I will say. So
that's the
we're
thing.
in the past. So I guess
Yes, we have to be in the past for Matt to not sell him out in this moment. In my clouded memory of this era, I was interesting for the supernatural vampire hunter and for Matt, who has been in the vampire hunter game now by himself for a bit, for this mentor-mentee thing to kind of fill out. But then as you say, in this moment, he does not sell Stefan out, and he in fact calls in the cavalry to deal with Reyna. And Penny is what the hell? You know vampires? And he's yeah, I told you about them. This is Damon. He's oh, this is Damon Salvatore? And he's yeah, Damon we don't but his brother Stefan we kind of sometimes. So we're not going to sell him out to Reyna Cruz. Penny's I don't get it, but listen, I don't have a gun, so what am I going to say? But she is okay, you're telling me that the Stefan guy is at least somewhat good, but the way you talk about vampires and have been thus far, it seems you really just hate them. So what's the deal of that? And he's well, I mean, and she's no, it's if you're gonna let some slide, given what I've seen they're capable to do, then maybe you're just as guilty as the vampires who do the thing.
And
which I think is crazy to say, Penny. But Again, from an absolutist perspective, that would be the natural conclusion. I, however, am not that strong of an absolutist when it comes to vampire hunting.
She said, I hate a fake woke bitch. Y'all want to pretend to be anti-vampire, but then when it's a timeline fave,
Right, when it's your
you let it
faves,
slide.
you're letting it slide. And it does get to Matt a bit because she's like, well, if you're going to let some slide, then what kind of position are you taking then as this anti-vampire guy? That's a question that's posed. He then, in the evening, goes to Stefan at the Salvatore house and is like, hey, man, I actually have had to think, and my soon-to-be girlfriend has really opened my eyes about it. I'm tired of living at the whims of vampires. I try my best in this town to keep it safe, to keep people who keep flooding here for some reason safe, but no matter what I do, like, we are no match for you guys. So it has to stop now. And he says, vampires need to leave this town. End of story. That includes you guys. And he then presents recorded evidence that he has from the CCTV footage at the Mystic Grill of Damon ripping out the heart of that vampire that Reyna was interrogating, and says, I will use this to expose vampires to the world if you guys don't leave this town for good.
Which, for whatever reason, the vampires in this universe don't want.
Listen, I don't know. I think, and this is what I was trying to say at the beginning, like before we started the discussion, is that there is no world in which this move, given how much the viewers of the show love the characters who are vampires, would end in anything other than everyone hating Matt Donovan. Right? Mm-hmm. Because the thing he is saying is very fair, notwithstanding, as you say, the like material concern of these specific vampires of vampirism being exposed to the world, and also the likelihood of anyone buying that as a reality and not doctored footage, because again, we're in the 2010s at this point. There's nothing I can do about that narrative-wise. Leaving all that aside, very fair point to make, but because of how the show works and how deeply invested and connected the viewership is to these characters who do cause harm, as Matt is saying, there's no route forward from this in which Matt is not severely disliked for this move, which sucks. Because it's true, the drama comes to Mystic Falls because these vampires exist in Mystic Falls, and if they leave, the drama leaves with them, right? The town's empty at this point. What would beset the town if all of them were gone?
There aren't even any Lockwoods left to trigger werewolf curses anymore, so yeah.
You know, it's not a bad argument to make, and that for someone at the end of his rope about dealing with vampires and struggling as he has struggled, I get it. But it really sealed the deal on Matt ever being a character that like people would flock around. This was like the nail in the coffin. Not for me, the nail in the coffin is coming, but this one is not great.
Yeah, I guess this trajectory that he's been on, it was always going to end up that way. If you are anti-vampire existing in a show where the protagonists are mostly vampires, or at least there are more vampire protagonists than there are any other species of being, it's going to make the audience go, oh. So yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But it's like, do I care, you know, which is an unfortunate but true statement that I'm sure a lot of people made. But it's like, for as much as these characters are protagonists, the deaths of people are a concern to them up to a point, right? Like, up to a certain point, this group is willing to let just, like, whoever get mowed through if it achieves a goal of theirs.
Human and vampire alike.
Right. That really sucks. And Matt, early on, and very often would become accomplice to that, whether he liked it or not. And deciding I no longer like it and I'm no longer willing to allow it to happen in the town I call home is a principle stance. Whether or not it makes you a likable character or a likable person. And that's the only thing I kind of want to say about this.
I'm now thinking Matt is and this is going to sound crazy, I beg you to stay with me.
Okay, I
Walk
usually
with
do.
me. Matt is the anti-Butcher, Billy Butcher of the boys.
I immediately see it. Why did you think that was insane?
No, because I know you don't like Butcher. I didn't want you to
don't.
be distracted by that.
Immediately I see it.
Because Butcher is a normie in a show where the superpowered people don't make up the majority of the protagonists. So when they suck and the normies hold that against them, it's easier to absorb. But Butcher is a terrible person, but the audience loves him.
Right.
Matt is a normie in a show where most of the main characters are supernatural. And when they suck, the audience is like, no, but it's okay. And Matt isn't a terrible person, but the audience doesn't
But the audience
like
hates
him.
him. He absolutely is the inverse Butcher. And what more can be said about that? That one, I guess, is it all comes down to whether you like Matt or not intrinsically, I guess, because people will excuse anything of this show and of the characters on this show. So realistically, there would be nothing Matt did that would be all that bad if people liked Matt to begin with. So
That's true. I mean, that's really it. It's why something like Jeremy, a 17-year-old boy whose girlfriends died when he was in grade 10, cheating on Bonnie by kissing Anna when she rose from the dead as a ghost.
she literally came back from the dead.
Something like that is held against him forevermore. But Damon and Klaus can do whatever the hell they want, up to and including to the people they purport to love. And it's like, no, it's fine. No, my sweet boys. Their dad sucked. It's okay.
It really, on average, comes down to who are the characters people like. And that's just how this show works.
Who are the timeline faves?
Yeah, and fair enough. But with that last move, that closes out the present day for Matt, and we go firmly into the future days of past, where the first thing we see of Matt is him crying at Penny Aries' grave. And it's like, what? Okay.
It's the equivalent of Days of Future Past in both the comics and the animated series X-Men in the 90s, where it's like you see all those graves and it's like Cyclops slain, Storm slain, Nightcrawler slain, Shadowcat at large, Colossus slain.
I guess Matt is our Shadowcat. Matt is our Kitty Pryde. Fair enough. It becomes clear Stefan, because Stefan was called out specifically by Matt in the flash forwards, was involved in Penny's death somehow. But we don't know how. I think Enzo and Nora, when they're getting away, drop that Matt is the one who busts Raina Cruz out of the armory, which is how they end up getting this plot going to try and get Stefan. What's her name? Alex St. John is under the impression that Enzo did it, but Matt did it to release Raina and sick her on Stefan specifically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is the reason why Raina escapes.
I had forgotten that.
Obviously, from the flash forwards, we see Raina gets to Stefan, but then they make that new deal. She's like, I didn't even want to get you anywhere. I wanted Damon, so y'all can use magic to transfer the Phoenix mark from you to Damon, etc., etc. When does he get to Stefan? Because he does get to Stefan at some point. It's not that important. At some point in the last arc of the show, Matt gets to Stefan to confront him during the present day of here's my big issue with Stefan Salvatore, here's our beef, right? And so he gets Stefan, I assume apprehends him somehow, because I think this is an interrogation situation, and then tries to get Stefan to tell him what happened with Penny and how she died. And it's okay, but you seem to have very intense beef with him. I was assuming he killed Penny maybe in a no humanity era, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's what set you off the edge. And that's why you've been gunning after him all this time. Up until this point, I was like, that makes total sense. I'm not sure how they got Stefan off the rails at this point. I'm curious to see. And then up until this point, at no point has Stefan been no humanity during season 7. So it's okay, so what's happening here, and why, Matt, are you not aware of how Penny died? How are you tying this to Stefan exactly, that if you're not clear on how it happened? And then in the most what's the word for it? I think farcical is the right word. I said it earlier. In the most farcical revelation, in a show that has some fairly bonkers revelations, Stefan is like, I took away your memory of that night. Let me remind you what happened. And we go back to a night in Mystic Falls where I guess Matt and Penny are on patrol in the woods, but for whatever reason, they're not like side by side patrolling. And he's tracking a vampire. I don't know if he was specifically tracking Stefan or if he just thought a vampire had come back to town and they're just like out in the woods looking for it. And he hears something moving through the trees, turns around and shoots. And he shoots Penny. And that's how she died. And Stefan says, I compelled it away from you so that you wouldn't remember you're the one who killed Penny, in fact. And this was all for nothing.
Insane.
And then Matt breaks down and cries. And then after that, he goes, I still blame you, Stefan, for being in Mystic Falls when I shot Penny to death. And I just...
What?
So we thought, well, we didn't think anything. We were confused. We were like, Matt blames Stefan for Penny's death for some reason, and it's unclear why, and it seems like he's also not sure why because he doesn't remember what happened. And then we learn what happened, and it's like, well, then how did you attach this to Stefan if it was compiled out of your memory? Went back and checked, because he's a cop and has a cop vehicle, he had dashcam footage of Stefan compelling him. So that's the first bit. That was news. The second bit is they were specifically tracking Stefan in Mystic Falls. Remember, they had told all the vampires to leave. Penny apparently heard somehow that Stefan was back in town and she was going after him because she's a vampire hunter now. And so Matt was out looking for her. And then, as we know, heard a noise that spooked him, turned around and shot, and it was Penny. And that's when Stefan came and compelled it away. So it's the dashcam footage, which is why he knew it was Stefan, which makes it even worse that he did all that shit regarding Reina Cruz and sending her after Stefan when he could have just picked up a phone and gone, why did you compel me? I don't know.
So Stefan removed the memory completely. What did he make Matt think had happened to Penny?
Oh, thanks for reminding me, because that's part 3 of the horror of this narrative choice. In the same way as Matt's mentor, Trip Cook, Stefan made him think that Penny died in a fatal car accident and that all this hunting stuff didn't happen. So,
why a car accident? That's so hard to think. Did Stefan go and crash someone's car?
I guess. I stopped at that point because I was like, this is silly. And that's all I need.
That is insane. Stefan, there are so many other ways that people die every day. Why a car accident? Also, what's with this TV show and car accidents? Like, it's Trip, it's Elena's parents, it's Matt and Elena going off the bridge because of Rebecca. Like,
it's the most dramatic way to die. You know, the swerving, the spinning, the crash. As someone who has been in a near-fatal car accident, it is quite thrilling, I guess, from a certain perspective.
Oh, yeah, that thing which you just didn't tell us about. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's where we're gonna end it. Back to the show. I just had to be like, again, who writing this was on Matt's side, because it feels like nobody. To go, because narratively, why does this scene exist, right? Why did this story beat exist? Why is it that no, Stefan isn't actually the one who killed Penny. Matt killed Penny by himself and Stefan compiled the memory away so he wouldn't be overwhelmed by grief. But Matt, for some reason, still thinks it's Stefan's fault somehow and just can't remember it clearly, to the extent that he works with the Huntress, who he freed from the armory, a magical prison where she was being held, so that she could kill Stefan. What reason could this exist for?
Here's the possible one, which will sound insane, because it is. But, you know, Vampire Diaries is often insane. Perhaps this entire arc exists purely so that we can say, we being the writers, and I guess their hopes would be the audience too, can say, look at you, Matthew, Honeycutt, Maxwell Donovan, on your high horse, just judging vampires for the deaths that they have caused and saying they're terrible people. Now look at the path you have gone down because of a person that you killed. I guess none of us is perfect. So he among you who is without sin should throw the first stone.
You started off saying here's a reason that might be insane, except that is the exact reason. That is the only reason that this could exist. Because why else would we completely hamstring Matt's point from like a couple episodes prior by being like, this thing you were hating this vampire for, you were wrong about him, and actually you were the bad guy, and he helped you. Aren't you the fool and the sinner, Matt, for making assumptions? And it's like, what was this whole storyline for then? We've been building to this pretty much, I'll say pretty much the entire season. We'll say like a third of the season in which Matt is present and central for. This has been his whole thing to go, no, we're nipping this in the bud now. We can't have our vampire characters genuinely be interrogated by the story, right? At the end of this season, we still need this group intact, so Matt has to be wrong.
He has to be humbled
for this to move forward without babies chilled.
So that we say, Matt, next time you're going off, we'll be like, shut the hell up. You killed Penny. You killed your own girlfriend.
You killed Penny, right?
So you're right up there with, you know, Stefan accidentally killing his dad and being a ripper every 20 years, and Damon killing Zach, and Caroline killing several black people. Carter and Asia.
So many, girl. Don't forget the cancer patient from season 6.
Oh, yeah!
Caroline? You are a menace to our people, actually, now that I think about it. Compel that girly in season 6 to go fetch ice for her. I was watching.
The first person she feeds off of is that black nurse.
A black nurse? Ooh, palatable vampire indeed.
Elena snapping that waitress's neck.
Elena attacking Monique, a woman of color. There really is no other, because it's like now forevermore and forever into the past, Matt will never have a leg to stand on because he shot his own girlfriend and blamed it on this guy who didn't do anything wrong, who in fact helped him when you think about it. So now never is an argument made by Matt that is anti-vampire concrete or respectable, because points to this episode in season 7. And I honestly can't think of anything that's important in this season beyond this point for Matt Donovan.
Yeah.
He helps Bonnie while she's because Bonnie is dying because of magical pills that Enzo shot her up with. And she accepts the Huntress's life in exchange for hers so that she can live properly. But the Huntress doesn't tell her that it'll give her the powers and the insatiable drive to hunt vampires that she had. So Bonnie now starts hunting vampires. And Matt, for a brief bit of that episode, is with Bonnie. Oh, well, she coerces him to help her to like chase down, I think, Caroline and Stefan. And he speaks to her very Matt of season 3, season 4. Where he tries to get through to Bonnie on an emotional level and to remember that these are their friends and that like she needs to see through the programming, which I guess is what this was all about at the end of the day, right? It was like Matt veering into anti-vampire dude, hunter central is not someone who is useful to the story we're trying to tell for these characters. He needs to be old Matt, who is infinitely empathetic and kind and concerned about his friends no matter how awful the things they do are. Because that's what happens. He goes back to being old Matt for this one last episode and then grabs the wheel and crashes them so that Bonnie can't get to Caroline. But then she's the Huntress now. So she just stands up and gets out and says sorry and leaves him there and walks off.
Where he then hallucinates Penny, who then absolves him of his guilt, I guess.
Sure does. And says, baby girl, you need to leave town. This place is not for you. Which honestly, at this point, fair. If you can't rid the town of vampires, maybe you need to leave the town.
So I guess this season was about Matt going down the vampire equivalent of the alt-right pipeline and then realizing, no, I was wrong.
It's just so...
He's gonna make a YouTube video being like, guys, how I was indoctrinated into vampire hatred. And I de-radicalized myself.
So crazy. And it's like, no, he's right.
Which would be hilarious if they were tying it to the cop of it all, but they're not.
They're not.
He's that in spite of being a cop.
You know they're not. I wish they were talking about how cops shoot first and ask questions later, in the sense of him shooting his own girlfriend who he was on patrol with in the woods. It's like, if that was the question being raised, I'd have something to say, but it is not. This is just about hamstringing Matt and his storyline.
It wasn't being trigger happy that killed Penny. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. And in this instance, it was Matt's willingness to shoot vampires
that killed
Penny.
And truly, that's the last time we see him in this season.
Oh, gosh.
That's it.
He's never around for the finale.
No, because why would he be?
He peaked in season 3 when he shot Maddox and then shot Tyler.
In season 2, you mean?
That wasn't even the finale.
That
That's
was
the
season 2.
second
That was the
episode.
penultimate episode, babe. It was not even the
season
finale.
2, yes.
He drove Elena up. You know what? He peaked season 3. Season 3 got to be in the finale because he was literally dying.
Yes.
And that's when they let him center stage.
Season 1, he's in the car that crashes, and he's the only one who it's not really important to, because Tyler is like, ooh, why is the device affecting Tyler, who we know isn't a vampire? And Caroline gets injured, and that starts her on her vampire arc.
Right.
And that's just okay.
We were talking about this over the week about supernatural shows and them seemingly being unable to write the human faction in an interesting way. And I think though Matt Donovan certainly does not count as a faction in any scenario, as we've said for these last 2-3 seasons, he is the one human of the main cast. And it's just not a perspective that the writing is interested in beyond a little bit of opposition, a little bit of like conflict. It's never interested in that thematically in a way that it wants to pay off, right? It's always like we dance with it a bit and then we go right back to status quo because again, we can't hurt the image of our baby girls. They have to remain the protagonists and in the right going forward. Otherwise, how do we sell you on another season following them?
What would have been lovely with Matt being the sole human left in the town and the only one who doesn't have any supernatural upgrades, the Gilbert ring doesn't work anymore, and deciding I'm going to step into the protector role and look after the humans of this town, and that leading to an arc of actually enough is enough. You vampires, including the ones that I care about, not just, Damon and Enzo who I hate, you vampires, you do a lot. Can you not? Even if he was like, yeah, please leave. If it had been a thing of the vampires are like, well, obviously we can't leave because this is our show, but let's change. We're actually going to change and not stick to the status quo. That would have been so interesting.
Exactly the point I forgot to make earlier, right? Because that's the result of something like this, right? It's not I become anti-vampire and then we kill all our main vampires. It's like, no, now you have to toe the line. Now there's someone holding you accountable. Because if Matt, who we've said before, is the heart of this group, is like, you guys are so off the plot that like I'm starting to think I'm wrong standing here, then that's the thing that pushes you to go, we need to start rethinking our whole shit. We need to start noting what impact we're making. You're absolutely right.
And it's possible to change the status quo because on this very same network, we had Arrow, where Oliver Queen starts off as this dark, gritty reimagining of the Green Arrow from DC Comics who's just killing criminals all willy-nilly. And then his close friends and loved ones are like, okay, so that's a
That's
not
a bit
okay.
crazy.
We can't just be judge, jury, and executioner for every criminal in town.
Right. Like, I'm with you on the anti-billionaire stance. I'm with you on the material harm they cause for the people of the city. I think if you are taking it upon yourself to shoot every single person you deem a problem, that's risky.
Or worse still, every person on your dead father's list.
Right. We're trusting the system implicitly. Now we're dealing with a rich white man trusting a richer, whiter man on who are the people that need to die. This is concerning.
Your father, who in his last moments killed the other person on the raft to make sure you would survive before killing himself.
Ethically speaking, I think he's the tiniest bit compromised. Just a little.
But eventually Oliver becomes like a typical, American comic book superhero who's like, yeah, I don't kill if I can help it.
And it's like, it's an interesting, I don't know if that was always their intention, but it makes for an interesting discussion of like vigilantism, of capital punishment, of like the reality of engaging with harm in a way that's outside of the bounds that are currently set in society, right? Which poses interesting questions at the very least if it doesn't always answer them succinctly or responsibly. But that's not a question that's being posed in this show.
And at a certain point, I think in one of the later seasons, Oliver is dealing with an enemy or enemies dangerous enough that he does start to consider, yeah, maybe I just kill him.
Maybe I should just kill him. I know he's bad.
And I think it's Thea, who is retired at that point. She's not a superhero herself. She's like, listen, bro, whatever else you might think, I know that putting killing back on the table is a huge step backwards. So I'm like, characters can change. Their morals can evolve. Why couldn't, at the very least, Stefan and Caroline be like, you know what, Matt? You are right. We're going to change.
You make a point.
And you know what? Matt's not even the first person to state this. Bonnie ended season 1 saying Damon needs to change.
Thank you.
Because if he spills another drop of human blood, I will take him out. And Stefan, if you get in my way, I'll kill you too. I don't care how much Elena loves you.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's the other piece of this that's missing, which is why I noted Matt and Bonnie in that episode where she's doing witch things and he's got a gun. I think the reason Matt and Bonnie are so separate in this is because if the two of them are together, then it's too much of a good point to make. As the working class, mostly human people of this group, them making an objectively moral point collapses this entire story. And I think, it would lend Matt too much power in his stance, right? If Bonnie's on his side, an all-powerful witch in this season, who's got a new edge to her, it's like all of you are dropping like so. All of you are suddenly towing the line very easily. I find it strange that it's not, like, why isn't Bonnie making relics, right? Every witch worth their salt in this show has made a relic of some kind. She's made a vampire daylight ring for a couple of people, and that's the extent of what she uses those abilities for. Because they push Bonnie into a role of supporting these vampires instead of keeping them accountable because they insist on being around and being her friends. And that's the issue in this season as well, is that Bonnie becomes tied to Enzo in this season, and the story is eaten up by all this vampire shit when she could have been standing with Matt, making sure he's not just out and about fighting vampires with his human body on the line and a shotgun to protect him. It's like, where's the magically Vervain outfit so that if vampires try to grab him, they burn as though they're touching Vervain? Where is the new Gilbert device so he can
she
track
has
vampires?
Emily's grimoires. She could make another one.
Like, why is Matt not decked out with relics that help him do this vampire hunting shit so that he's actually survivable? Because we're not actually interested in that.
I mean, we'll discuss in the Bonnie episode, but frankly, it's crazy that back when the other side was still a thing, she didn't make more Gilbert rings as soon as she learned how they worked, just to give to the other humans in town.
It's like, immediately speak to the Bennett witch because we know it was one. At the very least, it was a black witch in 64, and be like, how do we get more of this, baby? Because I got people on the line, and this vampire shit is crazy.
Even people central to the story, because I'm like, Liz is out there doing things. Carol is eventually killed by Klaus, and I'm like,
yep.
At the very least, Matt has to wait for Jeremy to no longer be able to use his ring, which we only find out after Jeremy dies and doesn't wake up, to inherit the final Gilbert ring.
It's insane.
But now I'm thinking, in the same way that this Matt arc, we're saying, was probably done to, invalidate any argument he could ever make against vampires. It's like, yeah, now we know that you can shut the hell up. I'm like, now I'm wondering, was pairing Bonnie with Enzo their way of doing the same thing to her? So now she's also not allowed to hate vampires because she's in love with one?
Yeah. Because she's in love with one and she's best friends with one. Yeah, they're fighting for now, but we all know that won't matter in the end. Like, yeah. Completely nullified and neutered the argument of humans being like, you vampires need to shape up. Gone. Actually, no, it's not gone. Matt will still have that argument in the last season, but at this point, it's just like namby-pamby. Oh, why are you still complaining about it? What are you even doing here? So, yeah. I guess on that note, let's roll into season 8.
Season 8.
Cliff fall of a finale for this discussion.
Hey, at the very least, this season, we finally get to it.
In a bittersweet gift to Matt, who doesn't appear in like the first 3 episodes, by the way, we return to Matt Donovan in a moment that Damon is accosting this strange mechanic man on the instructions of the siren, who is the primary villain, at least for this first arc of season 8. A man named Peter. I think they say he's Peter Maxwell, but I can't remember if it's in this scene. And as Damon is accosting him for something that he's supposed to know what it is that he's looking for on this person that Peter's never met, they really harangue this man for no reason and give him no information, which is wild. Damon gets shot up in the back by wooden bullets, and we see Matt come into the scene. And as I was telling you as I finished Castlevania about really clunky exposition, in some of the clunkiest exposition you've ever heard, because Peter goes, "Matt, what are you doing here?" And Matt's like, "Listen, I know you don't understand what's going on, and I know I tracked you down a couple of months ago and we've been catching up." And it's like, now hold on. This isn't even for the benefit of a tertiary character in this scene. You're telling your father, who is intimately aware of all this information. What?
That's how it works. TV Tropes calls the trope, "as you know," because it is often preceded by a person literally being like, "as you know."
We have been catching up. You, my deadbeat father, and me, your long-lost son. And it's been great. But now some shit's popping off, and you seem to be at the center of it for reasons I don't understand. So that's the exposition we get. Matt has found his deadbeat dad.
I was like, oh my gosh, you actually have a father. Wow.
He exists.
Huh. Which I think is what Damon says later on in the season.
Because Damon has grievously wounded Peter, Matt cuts open Damon's wrist while he's incapacitated and feeds his father with the vampire blood to heal him, because there's no other alternative at the moment.
Because we're back to saying we can use vampire blood to our benefit.
Because screw anything he stood on in season 7 now. This is a whole nother story. Matt then breaks down to Peter what has been going on in Mystic Falls since. At some point, he does tie up Damon and start, staking him to, get answers out of him. Damon is like, "Yeah, I didn't know Peter was your father. I was just after him for other reasons." And it's like, "What reasons?" And it's like, "Don't you worry about it. You just play along, or else I'll kill Tyler Lockwood." And it's like, okay. And Matt's like, "Even you're not that stupid. Elena would never forgive you for that." And it's like, well, I don't know about all that, but fair argument to direct at Damon, who might fall for that. But this is a Damon with no humanity on and who's being controlled by a siren largely. So he's like, "Actually, I've already killed Tyler. What do you have to say about that?" Matt punches him and is like, "If you did anything to hurt Tyler, I will kill you." And then he leaves with his father to where Damon described his killing of Tyler, which we did see in the prior episode, and finds Tyler's dead body in the trunk of Damon's car.
It's so sad.
He immediately breaks down crying because his best friend of however many years has just been mercilessly slaughtered by this man who's been a blight in his life for the last 10. And his dad holds him as he cries. They're sitting on the road against the car.
I haven't seen him cry like this since Jeremy died. And before that, since Vicky died. Or since he learned that Vicky had died.
Which, there's your thread of just loved ones that he keeps losing to this vampire shit. Oh, also important, and this was a surprise to me looking back, his father, as he's learning about all this vampire stuff, mentions a rhyme that his great-grandmother used to say about a glass of vervain a day keeps the vampires at bay.
Oh, yes.
So apparently the Maxwell family have known about this stuff, but that's been lost to history for whatever reason. So that becomes important going forward.
Which I'm like, I wonder what the real life effects of drinking vervain are. It's a real plant.
Oh, like actual vervain.
Yes.
Yeah. It's probably one of those ones that's deathly toxic, and the show has done some irresponsible work in selecting a herb to describe as being drunk by people. I'm not a botanist. Botanist, please fact check.
I know in folklore people believed vervain would keep devils at bay. I don't know if they ingested it, but they had it around the house and stuff.
Oh, cute.
It was called Devil's Bane.
Love that. He brings Tyler's body back to Mystic Falls, and he's the one to inform everyone, "Hey, y'all's fave Damon has killed my friend." They prepare for Tyler's funeral, and they go out to bury him and mourn him, and that's when, of course, they find Damon has dug graves for the rest of them in preparation. It's just
Damon being uncharacteristically
really
camp.
You're this is where I'm gonna bury y'all. And it's like, okay, Damon, can we move on? Because he doesn't do anything. He just threatens them and then he leaves.
I think he threatens to kill Matt. He's like, "It's a surprise you've managed to stay human this long."
Again, the only true immortal, Matt Donovan. So he spoils that moment for them. So then they go, hey, you know what? Let's go to the carnival that's in town, even though nobody lives here. Although it seems like people have moved back following the end of the Heretic saga. So I guess they repopulated Mystic Falls, a la the Garden of Eden. And they have a symbolic memorial for Tyler there by having a bit of fun, I guess, as Tyler would have. Sure. And it's here that Matt is catching up with Caroline because, again, he's not been in town for months. And is like, oh, the twins are all grown up. This is all so cute. Hold on. I know that girlie in the picture. Why does Matt know what Celine looks like again?
Tyler sent him some papers because Tyler was working with the armory. And in those papers was a very lifelike sketch of Celine's face.
Well, I guess sure. Celine from the 1700s, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Drawn so accurately that you could immediately tell that's her.
He's like, hold on. I know that woman has been taking care of your kids. She's a siren. And that immediately puts them on red alert. But by the time they get home, the twins have been snatched. Which he's not that involved in. But following that, after all the shit that Damon pulls with Sybil and the kids, Matt and Alaric get together and go, no, screw this. And they go to the bar and find Damon and stake him.
Fair.
Dead.
Honestly, fair.
Holding to his promise, Matt does. Because he said, if you do anything to Tyler, I will kill you. And they, in fact, kill him. Unfortunately for them, because of his connection to the sirens and to hell, literal hell, given powers by the devil himself, Damon is now deathless. So it doesn't.
And I'm
take.
like, Matt and Rick, if you had done this several seasons ago, even one season ago, frankly, and you are two of the people with the most reason, like the show starts off and you are already victims of this man because he kills Vicky. 3-4 episodes into season 1, he's already killed and turned Isabel. He will spend several seasons abusing Alaric even when he becomes his best friend. And constantly just itching for a reason to kill Matt. I'm like, yeah, you guys should have killed him long ago.
And honestly, them not having the knowledge that Damon is deathless, I love that this moment occurs. And it's like, yeah, they killed that man. That was their goal, and they succeeded. In an alternate timeline, that took and Damon was gone forever. The curse was lifted. But alas. After that, we go straight to that crazy Christmas dinner that Caroline puts on, which Matt and Peter Maxwell are invited to, I guess. But unfortunately for them, Sybil and Damon gate crash. And as you'll recall, Sybil and Damon want something from Peter that Peter is simply not aware of.
Oh, that's why Damon is being so camp, because he's with Sybil.
It's all Sybil. It's Sybil rubbing off on him. You think Damon is summoning that from within? Please, he wishes. But yeah, they keep going, you have it, we want it. And Peter's like, I don't know what you people are talking about.
I think they also interrogate him about the worst thing he ever did. Because they're like, oh,
which is a theme this
we're
season.
hungry for people's sins. And what's the worst thing you ever did, Peter Maxwell?
And he's like, abandoned my family, which is very true.
He did.
And they're like, why'd you do it? And it was like, yeah, just kind of did it. Listen, Peter Maxwell kind of sucks. It's true. Oh, is it this episode? No, it's the episode after. It's not in this episode where it comes up of the chip on his shoulder that he had that contributed to why he left the town entirely.
Yeah.
But it turns out what they're looking for from Peter is this Maxwell family heirloom that they need for their schemes. At this point, a number of things have been in play. Well, so far, just one thing has been in play, and it's this fork, this so-called tuning fork that they've been using to deal with the sirens. They hit it, the noise goes off, and it weakens them, and that's what has allowed them to deal with them in the past. Case in point, Bonnie and Enzo, who have gotten this from Celine, who's trying to do a face turn over in the B-plot, they use this fork to knock out Sybil while they're questioning and hassling Peter. Unfortunately for them, it works on Bonnie for reasons unexplained. Or explained, but it's unexplained why it didn't work the first time. While Enzo's caring for Bonnie, Sybil grabs Peter and runs off. She's looking for the bocce ball. That's what Sybil's looking for in this moment, is that bocce ball. The one that attaches to the fork. I think she finally gets him to, like, figure out where that might have been. And then she gets the bocce ball, and then she's done with him. Thereafter, Matt goes to Dorian, a character who's introduced in this season, one of Alaric's research assistants, who's now just working at the armory on the supernatural shit. Dorian mentions that the skeleton that's been chilling in the caves that they are researching, who they are calling Harvey because they don't have an identity for him, was associated with the sirens back in the 1700s. Tracking down the family line, whoever this guy was, is an ancestor of Peter Maxwell. That's why Peter Maxwell's so important to the sirens' plans.
At this point, I was like, dun dun dun, Matthew Donovan has significant ancestors? He gets to be tied to the many heirlooms and curses and supernatural histories floating around this world? Finally!
It took them 7 seasons, but they finally said, hey, baby girl, your family's important too. Not the Donovans, who are irrelevant to history, but the Maxwells. The wiki keeps using those names interchangeably, and I'm like, girl.
It does? That's crazy.
In this one paragraph, they have Donovan / Maxwell's, and it's like, those are 2 different families, babe. Obviously, that's Kelly Donovan's family who are not connected to this. It is the Maxwell side.
Kelly didn't marry that man, and then he left before their second child could talk or walk. She was like, I'm not giving them that deadbeat surname.
In no world. They will have my name, thank you very much. So Matthew Maxwell, too much. Probably for the best. So they have this journal that Ethan Maxwell, the guy they've been calling Harvey this whole time, has been keeping in that time. He discusses this bell that they were building, because it turns out the Maxwells were this blue-collar family that are actually responsible for the founding of Mystic Falls, and thereafter were kicked off like whatever notoriety was built up about the founding of Mystic Falls because they were not one of the rich landowning families who then took credit after the fact. So Gilbert's, Salvatore's, Fells, all those crew.
I guess they were there with the African Americans whom Elijah told us about in season 2.
It seems
100 years before the 5 founding families got there.
It seems. And because richer people slid in and just took over, they were shuffled off and lost to history.
And then it's like, oh, Matt's had all these moments with Bonnie, like, throughout the show.
Yes!
Like, threading the 2 of them together. It's like, oh, look, both your families were kind of just screwed over and had credit taken away from them.
Exactly.
Bonnie, obviously, because her ancestors are black. Matt, because his ancestors, though white, are poor.
And it's like, you would think, and I mean you wouldn't, it's season 8, but logically you'd think in the season where we're getting to that Matt and Bonnie would have like an ounce of screen time together. And I think they have 1 scene total in my memory of this season.
Gosh.
I genuinely think they have a conversation 1 time this season. And what's it about? The death of Enzo St. John. So, even now, that's the shit that's going on now. Sybil, separately during this episode, is at that high school with Caroline, coercing a bunch of students with her siren powers to tie themselves to stakes, to recreate for historical benefit, you know, they are doing a history class, the burning of the witches that was supposedly happening at this time, but didn't, because that was the fake story. She has all these high school students tie themselves up to stakes to coerce Caroline to locate this bell that was forged by Ethan Maxwell, who was a blacksmith, and passed on through the Maxwell family. She calls Matt because she's like, this is your family business, bitch. You need to figure this shit out. He's like, Dad, what the hell are they talking about? His dad is like, oh, that old thing? I remember in the 90s when we had to put it up for a parade, me and the founding family people, but like I saw them on the float and I was on the ground wearing Confederate Army uniform and I just felt so pissed about my position and standing in this town that in a drunken fury, I threw the bell off Wickery Bridge.
Yep.
Right? That's what happens.
It always comes back to Wickery Bridge, where everything in this town goes to die.
All tends to the bridge, all tends to death and destruction. And apparently, this bell cannot be destroyed, according to Sybil. So there's something magic going on with it. And so they're like, okay, let's try and figure out where this bell is. From records in Mystic Falls, the bell was recovered in 2009 when the Gilberts went off Wickery Bridge with Elena in the car the first time.
I guess they were like, since we're down here,
You know? They were like looking for the car. They were like, oh,
since we're already in the water.
We've been wondering where this thing is the whole time. Let's just get this shit out as well. So Liz has been keeping this bell in a storage room. And so that's how they find the bell. They go there to get the bell. They find the warehouse empty.
Wait, Liz had kept it there.
Yes, because Liz was sheriff at the time of the accident.
Maybe that's why Kelly hated her. She was like, that heirloom belongs to my children. How dare you?
And you know what? The only time you've been fair in that, Kelly Donovan, fair enough. So they go to find the bell in this warehouse. The warehouse is empty. There is a note left from Celine, who has made a heel turn once again after her face turn and said, I'm back in the game, bitch. That bell is mine. I'm working my own angle. Then Dorian explains to Matt what all this shit means. The bell, the tuning fork, the bocce ball. They all fit together as parts of a bell. I remember, yes, in the notes, they were talking about the lip, the shoulder, all this stuff. And they were like, is someone keeping records of the siren's food? Because the siren, as we know, the sirens are cannibals.
They were also wondering if there were like measurements for a woman.
Right.
They were like lip, shoulder.
And Peter's like, no, these are bell terms. These are measurements for a bell. So this bell was being crafted in 1790 with these parts put together. The bell being the casing, the tuning fork being the stem that goes inside. It's also it's the staff of Icadius, I think they've been calling it. It was his staff in life. Doesn't look like a staff, but that's none of my business. And then the bocce ball attaches to the bottom of the tuning fork. It's the ringer that hits the inside of
What
the
is
bell.
it actually called? I think it's called a striker or something.
That's what it is. It is the striker inside the bell. And then I think Matt and Peter save the students from burning alive just as Sybil is about to have them set the flame. So that's fun. Matt and Dorian hatch a plan to get the bell back. Dorian goes to take care of Celine using the tuning fork. He's also got some beef because Celine killed an aide Georgie, as he later finds out. God, this season. So Matt goes looking for the bell, and this is actually not interesting, but it's a fun episode where Matt has to fight a bunch of police officers who have been sirened. It's a nice little action sequence for him, where he shows that, hey, you can actually use restraint and subdue people, even if they're against you against their own volition. It's like, you don't have to kill them, actually. Damon Salvatore looks to scream. Yeah, he does that, and he gets the bell, and then he brings it back and finds Dorian is now working with Celine, so he's like, okay, I guess here we are. Bunch of stuff goes by. Stefan's now no humanity and working for the devil, and there's the Mystic pageant at which he turns this girl Violet fell into a vampire. So now she's just out and about killing people because I guess Caroline sat her down and gave her a talk about being a vampire, but then did not keep a single eye on her. And now she's just feeding on people at the girl.
Caroline said, listen, I've got kids. I
Fair.
can't be your babysitter.
Fair. Maybe notify one person. So Matt rocks up and finds a bloodbath, but also Violet's dead because Stefan's killed her. So it's like, oh shit. Then Caroline shows up to that and like asks him to give because she knows he's got the bell, to give the bell to Sybil, because in exchange Sybil is going to help them deal with Damon's now catatonic state because of all the guilt in his heart or whatever. Matt meets with his dad at Vicky's grave, and it's the first time we've engaged with this shit, I think, since it happened, right? Because we brought up season 5 when they tried to shuffle off Damon's sins onto Catherine about the death of Vicky, and someone decided, well, now that we've got their dad back.
The same season in which she gets sucked into oblivion when the other side disintegrates.
It's like, we've really screwed over the Donovan family. Maybe we need to talk about this. So then they have a chat, and he tells his dad, yeah, the person who turned Vicky is currently suffering, and this bell could be the thing that saves him. So you see, I'm in a bit of a moral quandary here. Peter's like, let him suffer, which is very real. This is also the episode where we find out that when they put the bell together, only a Maxwell can ring the bell. And when they ring it 12 times, it will open a portal to hell, quote unquote, and bring hellfire into town and kill everyone there. How do they know that it's exactly the bounds of town? Not clear as yet, but that's what the bell does. And the sirens have been wanting this bell because that would help them bring more souls to Cade. I don't super know.
I actually can't remember why they want the bell, to be honest.
I don't know why they want the bell. Stefan, again, no humanity, rocks up and compels Matt to ring this bell because he works for the devil right now. What was the thing he said? To like find it in his heart to forgive Damon, and if he can't, then he has to ring the bell? Is that what it was?
I think so. Yeah.
Which is like, okay, weird to put that on Matt.
Twisted Ripper Stefan. Well, it's Ripper Stefan, isn't it?
I just mean story-wise, but yeah. I just mean of the narrative to put on Matt. It's like, well, if you can't find it in your heart to forgive Damon, then the hellfire will consume this town. And it's like, whoa, I think that's a lot. He asks his dad to beat him up to incapacitate him so he can't ring the bell because he cannot find it in his heart to forgive Damon. So Matt starts ringing the bell because his dad won't beat him up. He rings it 11 times. And then Damon shows up from somewhere and knocks Matt out, takes the bell, I guess, out of its bell house, and is like, hey, Peter Maxwell, take this away. Matt, sorry I killed Vicky. And Matt's like, okay, I guess. And that's where that one ends.
Those 11 rings are apparently very important.
Apparently. 11 out of 12 was not enough for hellfire, but it was enough for the devil to slip through the door, skinny Jaffe style, and materialize on Earth corporeal. And now he's causing trouble. He started off by burning the sirens alive,
which I'm like,
which we love.
As the master of hell, couldn't you just leave whenever you wanted to?
If you're the master of that psychic domain, and you're able to reach into this world and snatch up souls that you deem corrupt and evil, regardless of what they've done, and they cannot escape it no matter what is stopping you from stepping into the real world? Genuinely.
And you're able to morph people into the first and two only sirens, as well as grant deathlessness to regular vampires, but you couldn't leave hell?
Seems weird. Seems like it doesn't add up. Cardi B just like pointing, being like, the math is not mathing. But here we are. He strong arms Damon because Damon is now free of his psychic programming and he's good now, supposedly. He's like, kill 100 people. And then Damon's like, I'll figure out a way to kill Cade. He goes to find Caroline and is like, I've got a plan. My plans are always good. Don't look at prior evidence. Caroline and Matt have to now, they're getting people indoors. They're like, mandated curfew, I'm the sheriff, get indoors. I don't know how he's the sheriff when he hasn't been in town this long. I guess there are literally no other cops still.
Yeah.
How has this town been running?
Power vacuum.
Fascinating. But also at the same time, it's that time capsule celebration thing where they find and dig up a time cap. Well, they're finding the ones from high school, but they also find a time capsule that was put conveniently in the year that all the siren stuff was happening in the 1700s. And in that, Matt finds some Maxwell artifacts, and it's like, interesting. The Maxwells don't have magic. How do they have artifacts? They get a bunch of people into the grill, and then Caroline offers to Matt as they like have a drink and they're like, yeah, this is the most we can do. She's like, just in case, we have no choice and the devil gets his way, take some of my blood and drink it so that if you die. And he's like, no. Like, I'm still, don't get me wrong. I'm back here in town. I'm here to protect my dad. I'm here to make sure that nobody's hurt. I'm still not about that life. And the way that the wiki phrases that is fun. Quote,
I'm looking at it now.
but of course, Matt despises vampires and he would never entertain the idea of becoming one. While Caroline is stuck listening to Matt rant for the millionth time about why being a vampire is not good, Damon is putting his plan into motion. End quote. So, you see my point.
You know how we see on social media constantly people talking about how you can always tell which way a media outlet is leaning based on how it reports the news? Yeah, very apparent on this wiki.
Fun. Never stood a chance, this guy. God forbid someone say, I don't want to be a vampire, right?
The same wiki won't point out that in this arc we're dealing with Damon feeling guilty over his sins for the millionth time. It won't say that.
Actively stiffens humanity's off, and he has been massacring people. And he is about to go after Bonnie and Enzo, our faves, I guess. It's like, why on earth would I want that? And in the context of a conversation where someone's going, here is my vampire blood, take it in case you die, and him going, I don't want to be a vampire, is apparently a step too far. It's a millionth rant that Matt Donovan has made. It's like, maybe if people stopped offering him blood?
You know?
I don't know.
Actually, I guess because Bonnie's accepted that file with Enzo's blood.
She patently hasn't. She did not know that was the intention of the gift. And when she found that out, she said, I don't want to do that. She has softened on her view of vampires, don't get me wrong. She gives some centrist answer when Enzo asks about vampirism. But she says, I'm not going to be a vampire.
Bonnie is now a centrist.
Bonnie has been compromised so far that she's no longer center-left, she's now fully center, which is what happens when you give the right any inch of movement. But she is like, I won't become a vampire, but baby girl, you can become a human, which is what they're busy with right now. Doesn't work out. He dies before he can make that choice. Wild. After that, Matt starts having these weird feverish visions. Very reminiscent of season 5. He wakes up in the armory, just like, what the hell's going on? I'm seeing a past, an existence I did not live. He goes to Rick and Dorian, who are like, it might be that necklace that you're wearing around your neck that you weren't wearing before these visions started. Are you futzing around with some Maxwell shit? Because that's magical. Ethan Maxwell was connected to some Bennett witches back in 1790, baby. This shit has been foretold by ancient texts. You and Bonnie are the shit. And here we are, coding it into paper. We start going into visions that Matt is experiencing of his ancestor, Ethan. At the same time, Damon is haranguing Rick about this Maxwell diary that the devil wants because in it is how they take care of the devil. And Alaric immediately vervains Damon because he's like, we're not just going to give this to the devil. You're insane. Puts him in an armory cell. Matt's visions are of Ethan working with Beatrice Bennett.
Yes, played by Jazz Sinclair.
Of Gen V fame. Season 2, baby.
And the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
A cunning woman, as they say in that show.
Yes.
Quite like not like kind of like the magical, you know.
Yeah.
So she's here. She's looking stunning. She's serving 1700s realness, and she and Ethan seem to be romantic.
And Ethan, who we must point out in the flashbacks, is played by Zach Rowe.
I'm honestly disappointed that the ancestor wasn't played by Kat Graham. I guess because that would pull away from the Enzo focus, right? That's really actually, now that I think about it, the only reason she's not being played by Kat Graham is because if she was, it would pull focus from the fact that she's mourning Enzo.
Because this show has never done the whole flashback ancestors played by the same actors thing. I guess because it would become confusing with the actual doppelgangers we have in this universe.
That's very fair. And you know what? It gives Zach something to do. He gets to, stretch his acting chops, play some some Elizabethan. You gotta help me out. I don't know this shit.
I do not know what the 1700s were.
Damn it. Settler colonial man, and we'll leave it at that. The Maxwellian era.
The Maxwell doppelganger.
Ethan, the originator of the doppelganger line.
That's why he was so attracted to Elena. His doppelganger was also fated.
They thought it was, oh my god, it's the balance situation. It's Landon all over again. Oh, we're almost there.
We're unraveling. I think we're at that point where we're falling apart.
Oh, it's hard not to with season 8. It really is. Ethan is the foremost Maxwell. Beatrice is the foremost Bennett, it seems. Or the daughter of the Bennett, coven leader, I believe. And so the two of them are chatting, talking about how we are being plagued by these sirens. They don't know it's sirens at the time, but they think it's just cannibals who are doing some crazy shit. I think they were building this bell to drive out these cannibal creatures that were in Mystic Falls. And then they bound it to the Maxwell so that only the Maxwells would be able to use it.
Why did they do that and limit the number of humans who could defend this town?
That's
We don't
question.
know.
But fortunately for them, they did that because and you know what? That's magical future proofing. Because after they've built it, the sirens rock up. Because again, they don't know that these are sirens. I don't think sirens exist in either West, well, I wouldn't know, but seemingly in white Western mythology and in Western African mythology. It's a very Greek thing. I don't know if the Greek would have gotten to. Surely it must have. If Enzo's reading Odyssey, like, I don't know. Anyway.
I'm sure the Odyssey would have, because this is like the 18th century, so I'm sure at this point, Western Europeans were well aware of Greek mythology.
But I guess you wouldn't immediately think of sirens in the middle of Mystic Falls, Virginia, right? So that's
certainly
fair.
not these sirens and the way that they're depicted.
Right. So these girlies rock up, they're dressed in pink and blue, they're color-coded. They ask to speak to Ethan, and Ethan goes off, and Beatrice is confused because she's like, we were having a conversation, why did he just go so willingly with these strange women? She doesn't know, they're sirening. They're singing their little song. So Ethan starts to learn who they actually are, that they're working for Arcadius, and they don't know how, I guess with their psychic energy, change the bell so that instead of driving them out, and this actually does start to put into place, God, imagine if we had gone through Matt's stuff at any point prior, this bell would make sense. The bell was initially made to drive the sirens out. So that's why it affects the sirens. But then they changed the magic of it so that it instead would open a portal to hell. How do you do that as non-witches? That's beyond me. But they did it. And it happened.
They sang to it until they changed its frequency, and that it was able to tear a hole.
Why not?
In space-time and access psychic hell.
It's a bell, it makes a sound, and sound is their specialty, so they changed the frequency.
Ask Musa, I don't know.
From repulsion to reality warping, I guess. And then they tell Ethan, you will not tell anyone a word of this. And they build that into his psyche. So then when he goes back to do all this shit and Beatrice finds him and figures out that like he's under the control of these creatures, he keeps telling her, she's like, what are they making you do? What's going on? And he's like, I cannot say. I cannot say. Every time he's repeating, I cannot say. And he puts up this bell, now corrupted, and starts ringing it. And it starts making that noise that drives all the witches crazy. So Beatrice is like, oh shit, this shit is popping off. She goes to her community, a convenient number of 99 witches in her community.
99 of my closest friends.
Exactly so. And says, my sisters, my aunties, my baby girls, we need to band together. Some crazy shit's about to happen. They link hands, they combine their magic, and they try to stop the spell. Unable to stop the bell, they then see the hellfire coming into Mystic Falls and focus their magic to stop that instead, and they hold the fire at bay. This is the fire that ultimately consumes the 100 dead witches that are referenced early on in the show as having a spot of magic that is anchored within Mystic Falls. They die, these 100 black women, to save this town. And the town keeps on moving, with them being forgotten to history.
I guess because a new set of white people come in.
You know, who are like, don't worry about that.
Oh, look at all this ready land with no one important living on it.
Right.
I guess the Bennetts are already here, which I always reference when I'm like, so at some stage, these Bennetts must have then migrated, or one of them must have migrated to wherever it was that Catherine met Emily.
Well, so here's the thing is that Beatrice survives this. I thought she died in that fire.
Oh, she survived?
Right. We were working off of Beatrice died in the fire along with the 100 dead witches. I guess she was number 101. And she survives.
101 Dalmatians. 101 dull mages? No, they're not dull.
There you go. No, I like it. I like it. I'm with it. So she's like, screw it. I'm putting these bitches on blast. I'm locking them down in these caves with magic so that they're stuck behind a magical like barrier. Because if I can't destroy them, because they clearly can't die, then I will restrain them. So no one else will fall victim to their spell. The sirens, in a last-ditch attempt to stop her, siren Ethan to try and kill her. And Beatrice knocks him back with magic and then has to seal him in also because she cannot break the siren's hold over him. Heartbroken, she leaves. damning him to death because he is but a mortal man. And that is the reason his skeletons are found in the caves in present day.
Which is a pity, but she was like, hey, the needs of the many
outweigh the few. And you know what? A badass Beatrice for doing that, saying that, listen, I love this man seemingly, but he will not come above the protection of the people because my duty as a witch.
Which is more than most of the Mystic Falls gang members can say.
Thank you very much. He is in there, ultimately locked away forever with this way to get rid of the devil and of hellfire and of the sirens that he was never able to say to Beatrice. But we find out he was never able to say it, but he was able to write it down. And so he wrote it down in his diary, start to finish, everything that the sirens had made him do and how to kill the devil. That's what they find in the Maxwell Journal in present day, which Damon then steals and goes and gives to the devil, who burns it. But fortunately, Damon read it, so he knows how it ends. And it's like, okay, whatever. This is when Matt finds Bonnie. He goes over to find her because he's been dealing with all this ordeal with the visions the whole day. And is like, hey, so I heard Enzo died. And while I don't super care about his death, I'm sorry for you, baby girl. Because for whatever reason, that man was important to you. So here's a hug and some comfort. So, you know, that's nice. After that is all the Stefan stuff, with him being on the run, and then all his compelled victims suddenly being uncompelled now that he's human, and they're all reporting to the police all the various crimes he did. And so Caroline comes in and compels all of them to forget that, and then they send money to them in the mail, which is more suspicious now that they're compelled, but I don't know what that's about.
In this economy, you don't turn down free money.
Certainly. Matt is upset about the whole thing because it's like, again, we're just erasing thousands of crimes that have been committed, thousands of deaths that have been orchestrated by a vampire. In the same episode, Dorian has been like holding Stefan at gunpoint for killing his dad, I guess, and then accidentally shoots him, which is like, if you were gonna kill him, then now why are you, whatever. They get him to hospital. And then at the end, Matt has all the police records that he's been recording of Stefan's crimes that he can't file because, again, they're covering it up. Gives it to Dorian and says, do what you want with it. I'm done. Then it's the wedding. This is kind of fun. Peter and Kelly attend the wedding together. Because Kelly Donovan has come back out of nowhere.
I was like, okay, I guess we're dealing with Matt's lineage. We might as well bring back his mom, who in a moment of anger, he told to leave once years ago when he was in grade 11, and she hasn't come back since.
Never came back. And even now as she's come back, it's not to see Matt again. It's to enact revenge on people who are long dead. And it's like, damn, Kelly, we're not going to have one good day, not even in the end, because as we learn in this episode, Kelly's dead. Kelly's fully a returned hell spirit in this moment. She had a fall at some point in season 2 to season 7. She had a great fall, died, no one knew. She went straight to hell because, of course.
I'm like, is it implied she fell because she was drunk? Because that's crazy.
I guess so. If it's an accidental fall, it's too sad. I think it must be a drunken fall that nobody would have known to or would have cared to, like, check up on her. And now she's working for Catherine, who's apparently the only one who cares about her.
I think she says she had a fall last year. So she was alive in season 7, I guess. I'm sure she was thinking, I'm not going to come back to Mystic Falls because the people who were the object of my beef are dead. Carol is dead. Liz is dead. There's no point in me coming back.
And yet at the wedding, because she grabs the mic at the wedding, drunk, of course, and starts going on and on about how Liz Forbes and all these people, this is at Caroline's wedding, denigrating her dead mother who died of stage 4 cancer, stage 10 cancer, mind you, and goes, y'all never cared for me. Catherine's the only one who cared for me.
Insane.
And I have orchestrated a gas leak in this location, and once they light that flame, we're going up in a blaze of glory, baby, and everybody has to evacuate, because what the hell?
Her being in cahoots with Catherine, I'm like, okay, I guess. I was
just to be like, what are you like? What is your response to that? I'm curious.
I just accepted because I'm like, there's nothing that would have made you two at odds with each other. I mean, she was going to kill your son, but it was nothing personal. And I don't think you care about him since you left town and haven't been back. since before Catherine arrived in Mystic Falls in season 2. So
she's like, oh, Vicky died and nobody in this town even cared. And it's like, girl, you didn't even know she was missing for like 10 episodes. Your son told you Vicky's run off and you said, that's what she does. Anyway, what's for breakfast? It's like, girl,
the audacity.
I wish I could take you seriously, but I can't.
The audacity of coming here and dissing the people of this town. I'm like, ma'am, last time you were here, you made up with a minor at your daughter's funeral.
Right.
A 17-year-old boy.
So...
your son's best friend.
Kelly.
She and Catherine bonded over their attraction to Damon, I guess. That's the only real thing they have in common. But everyone is attracted to Damon because he's just so amazing.
Because he's so hot. It's like, whatever. One fun thing that Kelly does do is she slashes Peter's throat, which, you know, once again, probably deserved it at some point in his life, so why not? Miraculously, Peter survives this. I remember reading this a while back and thinking, oh, he's dead. And then reading a scene about Peter happening after that. And I was like, as a ghost? No, he's touching things. Okay.
Because usually on television, when your throat is slashed, you're dead. I guess he and Alison Hargreaves are the only people to get their throats slashed and survive.
Fully survive it. She sets the gas leak. The house explodes. Everyone escapes. Bonnie and the twins are trapped inside. She gets them to use magic. They control the flame. They send it out through the chimney. It's pretty cool. She's been collapsing this whole time. She's been throwing up like black stuff. She's not looking good. But before she goes completely, she tells Matt, oh, I was just causing a distraction here. Vicky is across town at that cute little bell y'all have been building, and she's about to ring the bell 12 times so that the new goddess of hell can step through and burn this town to cinders.
Because she's also a Maxwell. I did like that.
I love it that because it's like, yeah, Matt's a Maxwell, Vicky's also a Maxwell. Your patriarchal values will ignore that there's another Maxwell available. And she rings that bell. It's a reunion of Vicky and Matt for the first time since season 5. Matt's trying to stop Vicky from ringing the bell. She refuses to hear anything. Damon shows up and starts killing her repeatedly, which again is just like, how dare you even be present while this subject matter is going on? Throws her out a window, snaps her neck, keeps just doing stuff to be like, scientifically, what's happening here? Well, she can't be killed the same way I can't be killed. She's connected to hell. So, Matt, it's up to you now. You're the only one who can stop her. And then skedaddles. Vicky's like, I don't have time for you or for this. I've got a job to do. Because Catherine said, I will release you from hell if you ring this bell for me. And she said, I don't want to go back to hell. So I'd much rather just be dead. Matt then evacuates the town. Again, a gas leak. A gas leak to end all gas leaks in this final episode of the show.
Why not? Bookend.
Throw it at the end there. Matt then calls up his dad and is like, we are evacuating people and we're screwed unless we can get through to Vicky. By the way, Vicky's back as a hell spirit. Please help. So the two of them go back to Vicky. And Vicky, again, on that 11th ring, that's where she stops and she sees Matt and Peter and is like, oh shit, Dad, because Vicky, again, is older and at least somewhat remembers their father. And is like, what the hell are you doing here? And Peter's like, you don't have to do this. And she's like, no. You're 15 years too late to be some sense of a father to me. Thank you very much. I'm gonna keep going. They're like, actually, we're not here to stop you. She's like, if you're not stopping me, then why are you here? And Peter's like, I just wanted to see you one last time and for us to all be together before it all ends. And that's what gets through to her. She starts crying. He starts crying. She crew, he crew. They both crowed. And they all hold each other as the Maxwells are reunited for the first time in, again, 15 years. How does the Hellfire come then? Does she ring it the 12th time? She must ring it the 12th time. So they're holding each other thinking, okay, this is our last moment together before Hellfire consumes us all. But, of course, Bonnie and 100 black women once again save this town from the Hellfire.
It's not even 100. It's Bonnie, 100 black women, plus Ayana, the Witch of the Five, Lucy Bennett, Sheila,
who has also died off screen.
Yes.
Just so you know, baby girls. Wild. And that is the last time we see Matt presently in the show. The last scene we have of him, though, is the fast forward, epilogue where we see where everyone ends up. And we see that Matt... officially is the sheriff of the town. And they make a bench for him because in season 7 they made a bench for Liz Forbes. But that was posthumous, so I'm not sure what this is. It's fine.
They made a bench to acknowledge the fact that amazingly he didn't die. Not once in these 8 seasons of being a mere mortal.
His bench of immortality. It's now his phylactery as a lich. And so long as it holds, he can never be killed. If someone tries to kill him, he materializes back on the bench and resumes his life. I love that for him.
It's his save point.
It's his save point. It's his scum save. And I respect it. Save scum all you want, buddy. You need it. He's like, I'm thinking of running for mayor. And I'm like, okay.
Sure, why not? You've been Liz, why not be Carol as well?
Absolutely go for it.
Are you still living in Tyler's house? Because he's dead.
Tyler's dead and watching from peace along with Vicky, as we've said. Queer platonic pair.
And I'm like, I don't know what the relationship is here. Are they a couple in the afterlife? Are they just friends who both love you?
Who knows? We just needed them for this narrative setup, and they head off to peace together. Don't worry too much about it. And that is a wrap on Matt Donovan in the Vampire Diaries. There is an Originals appearance. I don't care about it. There is a Legacies appearance. I think care even less.
He does appear in Legacies. He is still the sheriff.
Good to know. 10, 15 years from now, he remains the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what the dating apps are like in 2035. Frankly, from the 5 episodes I've seen of Legacies, technologies is pretty much the same. So,
oh yeah, what era is it even set in?
It's because, I mean, spoilers for the Originals. Hope is the benchmark, right?
But
Hope is like 5.
Isn't she like the same age at the end of the Originals?
Well, yeah, the Originals' final season is a time jump.
Oh, gosh.
To when she's a teenager.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it jumps from her being 5, played by that sweet little redheaded girl, and then all the Michelsons, or most of the Michelson siblings, go into like hibernation to hold the hollow back, and then we time jump 11 years to when she's 16, and she's a problem child now. So 11 years pass from 2017, so they're in 2028.
Wow, still beyond where we are now.
Yeah. Matt, right?
Matthew, I mean, at the very least, a season where he's very relevant.
Yeah, finally. Family ties, historical ties to the town, ties to the Bennetts. The shit we've been saying the whole time is like, this is the pair.
A retcon I appreciate. And I like that he has that conversation with his dad when all of this unfolds mid-season. And he's like, yeah, you like walked out on us and abandoned us. And aside from like all the other ways in which that's shitty, my whole life I grew up surrounded by these friends who were super important and had all these like familial ties to this town. And you robbed me of being able to also connect on that level and to feel like I also belonged here in the way that I'm now being told I do.
Yeah. And it's like, to an extent, that flies in the face of like, this is to quote Star Wars, if you're not a Star Wars head, but the Rey from the modern Star Wars trilogy. In that second movie, the objectively best one of the, well, no, I lie. I didn't super enjoy that one physically, but I liked thematically what it was saying, which is all this legacy shit of like Skywalkers and like all this family stuff is like, you can be a hero no matter where you come from, right? Because Rey is set up to be this character, an orphan like Luke. It's like, surely she must come from somewhere to achieve this greatness. And the answer is no, her parents were nobodies. They were just nobody people who abandoned her, and she was an orphan girl, and her life sucked. And she still picked up that lightsaber. Same with Finn, if they cared about him at all in those movies, of being a stormtrooper at the beginning and abandoning that path because he had the wherewithal to go, this is not a life I want, and also picking up that lightsaber. That is a principle I enjoy. And so the idea that Matt needs a tie to like this historical legacy shit, especially as the working class guy, I kind of sometimes am like, I like the idea of him being a hero in this town regardless of that.
Yeah.
But making that legacy tie still work with the working class aspect of him. Being like, it's this working class family who you'll never see in the books, right? You won't see them on the founding charter. You won't see them in historical documents. You won't see gilded signatures on papers that damned the lives of many. Because they were just a regular family who built this town, like quite literally with their own hands. And that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. I can appreciate Matt feeling like, oh, I have this heritage that I didn't have access to because you left. growing up, maybe I would have felt like I fit in with my friends a little bit more. I mean, he was
If
clearly,
I had a reference point of my own.
yeah, he was clearly much beloved by his friends. He certainly seemed to have a better time integrating than Vicky did, for example, because we know what the town thought of Vicky. But it's like, yeah, I can appreciate that you're like, oh, you know, it's like being cut off from your ancestry and your heritage and your lineage can have adverse effects. And certainly when the result of that cutting off is not like, oh, someone died or you were misplaced. Like, no, your dad just left because he couldn't deal.
And didn't tell you jack and shit.
The irony of Peter leaving because of the baggage of that family history. And it's like, well, and then you created a new generational curse because now your son
Precisely.
has baggage because of lack of family history.
Precisely. This is why you need to speak to your kids. Break the cycle. Break the generational curses. Come on, Petey boy.
Does Peter survive? Yeah, surely.
I think so.
He's not in the epilogue.
I don't know why we don't get a last moment of him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's with Matt when Vicky's watching them. I don't remember.
Maybe. I honestly don't. Maybe he's watching from the crowd as he is celebrated with the bench.
Finally, an heirloom belonging to a Maxwell.
Maybe you got the bell and you got that park bench.
Maybe he goes to Matt and he's like, could you hyphenate your surname, son? Please, can you be Donovan Maxwell?
Just a real quick Donovan Maxwell. When we say the benches for Donovan, can we include Maxwell in there? Just Donovan and the Maxwell for me. Thanks.
If I were Matt, I'd be like, I'm not going to do that because you did abandon me for like my entire childhood. What I'll do is if I have two sons, the second one can have the first name Maxwell.
There we go. I call him Maxwell Donovan in honor of you. And then that's it.
And the first one will be named Hanika Donovan.
All right. I'm calling it there. Any last thoughts on Matt? Because we have to go.
No, that's all from me. I'm impressed if whoever's listening to this has stuck with us this long.
I can't blame anyone. I think if this part 2 has like half the views or listens of part 1, I'll be chuffed as change. But yeah, if you did stick around, thank you, listener. We promise after this one, you will be very excited to hear the next episode. And I'm sure for keen watchers of the feed, you know who's coming up next because this was the penultimate episode. We are going into our finale of the season. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, thoughts, or just would like to say hi, you can send that through to animalattackpod@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at animattackpod. That's ANIM Attack Pod. You'll find the link tree in our bio that has all our online stuff. Until the guns blazing, hell raising retribution of our season 1 finale, we thank you for listening. Cheers.
Bye.